Everyone, welcome to the Thursday edition of Reality Check, and you know what that means. It is time for Philadelphia City Council Live. City Council Live this Thursday morning here on the home of Black Talk Media, WURD. We are live on 96.1 FM, 900 AM, wordradio.com, WURD TV, and WURD app. We are live. We are live, of course, and we're waiting on the Philadelphia City Council to convene as a session of the whole shortly. Of course, everyone listening and watching and with quite a bit of anticipation, quite a bit of anxiousness because of votes on key provisions, key parts of the mayor's fiscal year 2022 budget. And as the Philadelphia Inquirer recently called it in an editorial, a very ordinary budget during extremely extraordinary times. So it has been described as such. This is not a very bold budget. It is not the type of bold budget that many critics and many advocates and folks out there were hoping for, particularly during not only this time of pandemic, but also during this time of raging, out of control gun violence in the city of Philadelphia, and the type of gun violence too that has apparently stumped policymakers. They have not found any sort of strategy or implemented any sort of strategy to try to curtail this gun violence, to try to reduce it in any significant way. And we have a situation here too where the Philadelphia Police Department seems completely paralyzed and unable to solve homicides. So, we have some major shootings and incidents and tragedies that have taken place, and still no perpetrators caught, no one identified. Very few people getting caught, and so as a result, very few people getting prosecuted or being held accountable for those violent crimes. So that is the state of affairs in Philadelphia, while in the meantime still grappling with the pandemic, both the public health aspects and dimensions of that, the public health calamity that has been the pandemic, and we're still kind of reeling from that with many people out there, particularly in the more distressed communities, not getting vaccinated for a variety of reasons. And, then there's the economic destruction that has taken place as a result of pandemic. Many people going to face an eviction moratorium expiration at the end of this month. And so we know that eviction rates in Philadelphia are among the highest in the country for a major city. So that's coming, that's looming. In addition to many people out there still not finding employment or having a real tough time trying to recover economically from pandemic. So all of that is happening, and then we get this very ordinary, very meh budget from the mayor, from Mayor Jim Kenney, who doesn't seem to think that the situation is as urgent as the rest of us can clearly see is. So we're just awaiting on Philadelphia City Council to deliberate, debate, and vote on specific aspects of this fiscal year 2022 bill. This is the hearing before the last hearing. This is the second to last hearing or meeting of the whole Philadelphia City Council. The second to last stated meeting of the City Council before they reconvene in the fall. So next week, Thursday, June 24th, at least based on the calendar, will be the last time that City Council meets as a whole, and then they'll recess for the summer. I have no idea why. I'm going to put that out there. I'm going to continue to complain about that. Like, no major legislature, particularly for a city as big as Philadelphia, should be getting a summer break as long as Philadelphia City Council gets. But apparently they will June, so they're going to break for like the last leg of June, all of July, all of August, half of September. Basically, City Council, your City Council, Philadelphia City Council, will get a nearly 3-month break. So now they'll say, oh, hey, but we're still doing work, working with constituents and everything, but people need to see that. So, people are not going to just see you sitting in your office and then things are virtual still. And then, there's an anticipation that the City Council will be back in person. We'll be back in chambers come September 16th. That is the the post-summer break, session of the whole when their fall session starts. Let's open up the phone lines while we're waiting on Philadelphia City Council. We are watching and waiting very closely. 215-634-8065, 866-361-0900 here on City Council Live. So phone lines are open. And feel free to just chime in on what's on your mind today, whether that is the current local situation, the current situation in Philadelphia, and your expectations. I'm sure many of you out there have been following the debate that's been happening, the public debate and debate inside City Hall over the fiscal year 2022 budget, particularly as the city receives a very generous federal relief package of $1.4 billion. So 215-634-8065, 866-361-0900 here on City Council Live. 215-634-8065, 866-361-0900. We now have 251 murders thus far in 2021 in the city of Philadelphia. So we are now more than halfway there to the number of murders that happened in Philadelphia last year. So we are more than halfway there. Homicides, murders in the city of Philadelphia are up by are 35% more than where they were this same time last year. So in fact, I mean, now with 251 murders, we have now surpassed the full year 2013 and 2014 homicide rates in the city of Philadelphia. So in 2013, there were 246 total murders that whole year in Philadelphia in 2013. In 2014, there were 248 murders for that entire year. So now we've surpassed that, and we're not even through a full year yet. We haven't even really gotten deep into the summer yet. And so that's where things are. That's how bad the situation is. Don't let anyone tell you that the situation is not bad, is not grim in Philadelphia as far as the violent crime wave is concerned. So we now have nearly 950 shooting victims as well. 943 total shooting victims thus far in 2021 as well. Those are non-fatal firearm injuries. That's in addition to the 251 homicides. Let me go to Bobby out of Southwest, who's calling in for a reality check. Bobby?
Good morning, Sir Charles.
Good morning.
My topic is on the city council. I'm going to admit this. I'm not absolutely sure, but I don't understand that they make those call numbers identifying, what the budget is, the proposed budget is, but they don't give definition. I'm thinking I don't hear definition of each one of those categories that they bring forth. And I think it's I think it's greatly unfair because the public doesn't know the contents. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't ever hear definition of it. It's just that legislation, whatever number, and we pass. So please clarify for me and set me straight. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. No, they don't give out sometimes, when they'll introduce new bills that are being put on the floor or being put up for consideration, they'll announce you'll hear the city council clerk's voice, Michael Decker. You'll hear him announcing the titles and reading out the summaries of the bills. But there is a point where it does get very confusing. It is very hard to follow. And you'll hear, like, for example, City Council Majority Leader Sherelle Parker read out a stream of numbers. So, I know people keep, harassing and teasing Sherelle Parker about her diction and her tone, which I think is totally unfair and unwarranted. And I think it amounts to nothing more than just bullying of, Black women in powerful positions. People need to get on Sherelle Parker about maybe like slowing down on calling out the numbers and maybe, I don't know, having a little bit of empathy with folks like Bobby out of Southwest and others who aren't familiar with the way city council operates, and maybe, you know, trying to figure out a way, maybe putting pressure on the city council president, having a conversation saying, hey, how can we make these sessions a bit more user friendly and a bit more accessible to folks, you know, because when I'm calling out numbers, and there is a public conversation I am aware of where people, and that puts me on the spot where I'm the one calling out these numbers, and you know, people don't understand like what exactly is being voted on. The best thing you can do, Ms. Bobby, if you have the ability to do so, is just, you know, have your laptop in front of you, go to phlcouncil.com. So I'll do this for a number of other folks too. If there are those of you out there who, you know, are listening to or watching Philadelphia City Council, if you're listening to it here live on WURD, always go to, as this council is in session, go to phlcouncil.com. Then you're going to see this button. It'll say Legislation and Hearings. Put your mouse over that. There'll be a drop-down menu. Click on Legislative Information Center. And then that'll open up a new portal. And then you'll see Legislation. Click on Legislation. And then have your have it already. You know, you have like your search tool. There's going to be a box in there where you can enter numbers. And so I would say, you know, like during the course of, you know, and sometimes I do this, among other things, while I'm following City Council Live and anchoring it for you, I'll just put random numbers that I'm hearing in that box and then do search legislation and it'll pop up. Or a more direct way is, let's see, phila.legistar.com/legislation. So that's the most direct way of doing it too. Phila, go online, Phila, PHILA.legistar, LEGISTAR.com/legislation. And it is a search box, and it put the numbers in the search box as they're being called out, and hopefully that's helpful. But otherwise, you know, we'll do the best we can to, you know, just figure out, we're trying to retooling some things, and then hopefully by the fall we'll have like a better rhythm together. Let me go to Ms. Mamie out of University City, who's calling in for a reality check while we're waiting on Philadelphia City Council. Ms. Mamie?
Good morning, Brother Charles. Thank you very much for being there. Happy Father's Day to you and Troy and all of the men on WURD. Thank God for the legacy of Dr. Lomax under the direction of his daughter, Sarah Lomax. And I would like to pay tribute to Brother Cody Anderson. And also, I'm happy for the early bird. I won't be able to come there, but I can send for my membership. But anyway, thank you all for your brilliance. Everyone there is doing a very good job in informing the community. Thank you for all you do. And membership is reasonable right now, $75 for a whole year, Charles.
$75 for a whole year.
That's great. And look at what you get from that. That is so valuable.
That's right.
But anyway, Charles, happy Father's Day.
Thank you. Thank you for that. So when happy Father's Week now. It's Happy Father's Week. Happy Father's Week leading up to Father's Day to everyone out there. I appreciate that. I'm going to extend some of that Father's Day joy that you just showered on us, Ms. Mamie. I appreciate that. Thank you so much, and thank you for that reminder about your onWURD membership. We've got an early bird special of $75 that's happening right now, and that's happening between now until Juneteenth, this Saturday. So, and then don't forget, we've got the live broadcast that's happening, on-site broadcast from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. at 52nd and Haverford this Saturday. So you get to join folks out there and also sign up for your new membership and get the early bird special, $75. You can't beat that. So Ms. Mamie is absolutely correct. If there's one thing that is correct this Thursday morning as we wait on Philadelphia City Council, it is the fact that you are getting a great deal with that early bird special of $75 for your onWURD membership, and you're getting quite a bit along with it, and you get to continue to support this fine institution called WURD that you, and I'm not exaggerating, this is not hyperbole. When I say this, I'm not saying this because I work for WURD, I really am not, but I'll be very honest with you. There's nothing like WURD anywhere else in the United States. No other city has it. Other cities, other places, other folks want a WURD. They are like absolutely, just I mean, they really are pleased. They love the fact, they enjoy the fact that there's a WURD, and many people from other places listen into WURD through the live stream catches because they want something like that in their hometown, in their city. But they are definitely gripped with envy that they don't have that, and they wish they did. Let me go to Mr. Tyrone out of North Philly, who's calling in for a reality check. Mr. Tyrone, how are you doing, sir?
I'm good. Peace and blessings to you, good brother. And
hey,
I'd like to join the young lady in extending a heartfelt, happy Father's Day to all the real fathers. And I definitely want to say to all the men of WURD, I appreciate not only you being the fathers of your family, but also all the folks you have adopted through the station. So we appreciate you.
Hey, thank you. Thank you, brother.
I'd like to, if I can, speak very quickly on the passing of the Juneteenth bill.
Yes.
I've been hearing a lot of conversation about, the only reason they did it is because they don't want to deal with none of the other critical issues. But I definitely want to remind everyone that the folks who've been working on the Juneteenth situation, because I know Brother Ron Brown, and I know for over 30 years, he's been working on Juneteenth, the Juneteenth celebration. So I think for folks to say that they only did this to appease folks, take away from the efforts of all the folks who've been working to make the Juneteenth holiday a national holiday. I mean, the Juneteenth celebration a national holiday. So we cannot continue to, again, dilute our victories. This is a major victory. And for anyone to think that the Republicans would do something to appease us, they got another door coming. When they are tuned in on what they're doing, they go for it. They ain't trying to appease nothing. They just trying, when they want something, they go get it, and try to get it done. So my brothers and sisters, please, let's not dilute any of our victories because they are so far and in between. So I just wanted to add that, and I appreciate you allowing me to do that, good brother.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I think that must be said. Definitely, we don't want to dilute those victories, small or large. It's still there was a lot of work that went into finally getting that done. So and complete. Definitely that conversation continues. We want to follow up, however, with the passage of the Juneteenth bill with some action. There's a lot of other legislation and big policy, impactful policy out there, bills that must be passed. Let me go to Brother Bruce out of Mount Airy, who's calling in for a reality check while we wait on Philadelphia City Council. Bruce.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Every now and then I do call in on the Solomon Jones line, and I listen to you when I'm fumbling around trying to get out the door. I'm retired now. But I had a couple of questions. I do know Curtis Jones, Jr., one of the city councilmen. My mother used to babysit. He used to come to my house when we were small. He had to stay over there till his mother came home. And I asked him some questions through my life, but I never asked him something that you brought up this morning. I wanted to know, does city council get paid for what they do even through the summer? If they do they get paid also through the summer? And before you answer that question, I just want to say Happy Father's Day to you and the staff, because you all provide tremendous amount of information if we would only use it. And so God bless you, and I'll just wait for your answer.
Right. Yeah, it's a full-time job. So, and yeah, so they draw a full-time salary, six-figure salary. That's $130,000 per year. So on average for your average city council member. So yeah, no, that absolutely. So I mean, okay. So the argument they'll argue, they'll counter, and I had this conversation a long time ago on air with the city council president, with Darrell Clark, who so we had an exchange about that. He took exception to my descriptions of city council going on recess, and so and he was like, hey, we're still working. He's like, we're still working, we're still in the office, and they have staff, and they still work, and don't get me wrong, I think that everyone has to take a break at some point. Everyone, you have to take a break, you have to recharge, you have to reboot. I mean, I have to take a break. So at some point, like you can't move like nonstop, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You got to reboot. You got to stay healthy. So vacations are healthy when you can get them. Even if they're like, staycations or mini vacations, or I know people have limited means to do things, but you have to take a break at some point. But the long breaks that legislators like Philadelphia City Council and also Congress, they're in the midst that right now. The House is in the midst of or just came off of a 3-week break. So it's just the breaks are too long. You have to, especially in a time of emergency like this, things have to get done. There are urgent issues that must be addressed. Philadelphia is a city in a state of emergency. To me, it's just a 3-month recess, or stop using the term recess to describe that, you're not going to be meeting as a whole. Come up with another term. But that also suggests or projects that you're still in business, that you're still open for business. But the term recess or breaks, that basically tells the public that, oh, okay, hey, we're out for 3 months. You're on your own, and that's just not the time, especially now with people going through so much hurt. It's not the time to be doing to be just embracing that you're on a recess. So I just think that it could be done differently. So that's just my take on that. Ms. Pat out of West Philly is calling in for a reality check. Ms. Pat.
Hi, good morning, Charles, and happy Father's Day and happy Thursday.
Hey, thank you.
Listen, it must be nice to have such a nice vacation time, right? Most of us get 2 weeks, but it must be nice to have the whole summer. But anyway, I just wanted to talk a little bit about that person who is Democrat / Republican is trying to create his own law for the Voting Rights Act. Did I hear that correct? Or
right?
Or
Senator Joe Manchin he's come up with a compromise. He's picked out specific provisions or pieces in HR 1 that he likes, and he's saying, hey, these are the things that he's saying two things. One, these are the things that I would vote for, and these are the things that I believe I can find Republican votes for, so we can break the 60-vote filibuster, so we can get it passed.
Oh, so he's picked and choose what he wanted to take out of the bill and nothing else.
Right.
Okay. But everybody got on board when it came to Juneteenth Day, which is, to me, is like throwing a bone at a dog, in my opinion, but that's another whole issue. But listen, I just wanted to call and wish you a happy Father's Day. Have a great weekend, and I'll look forward to hearing you on Monday.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, once again, thank you for those, Pat. So I'm just going to extend more of those joyful Father's Week, Father's Day salutations to everyone. Yeah, I appreciate it. Ms. Pat, Brother Bruce, Brother Tyrone, happy Father's Day back at you, Bruce and Tyrone as well. I suspect, you all are, enjoying that, so please, everyone, and do stay safe out there and keep everyone safe. Let's really try to keep the city as safe as possible, keep the community as safe as possible. Like right now, we already have 251 murders in 2021 in Philadelphia thus far. So wouldn't it be something if just for the we could get a break from that? That's the kind of break that I want. But wouldn't it be something we get a break from that, at least for the Father's Day weekend? Really be wonderful, if we could pray for just a break from the violence for the rest of the year and then perpetuity. We're still waiting on Philadelphia City Council. We're watching on that very closely. Do go to phlcouncil.com. That's their website. That's where they have information, and that's where you can get ready to also use that as a reference tool as you're listening to, as you're watching the Philadelphia City Council, phlcouncil.com. Also, phila.legistar.com/legislation. Have that search box ready. So when you hear those numbers, you type in the numbers and press search legislation to know what those bills are, to identify those bills that are coming up. Philadelphia City Council is also at PHL Council on social media, on Twitter. We do follow them here on Reality Check. So you can go to at PHL Council, and we occasionally retweet them as well. So definitely that helps as a good guide as you're listening to these convenings of City Council. Let me go to Ms. Jackie out of Overbrook, who's calling in for a Reality Check while we wait on City Council. Ms. Jackie?
Hi, Charles. I hear people being upset that they can't follow the bills as they're announced and what they're about and all of that. They can email Michael Decker, and he will send them a list of the bills that are going to be considered at at various council sessions, hearings, what the dates are, what they're going to discuss. For those that have email, they can get them in their email, but I get them all the time, regularly. It's a lot of information, though.
Yeah, but you take that time. That's a very good idea. Thanks for that suggestion, Ms. Jackie. Michael Decker's email, by the way, is michael.decker, D-E-C-K-E-R, at phila.gov. That's michael.decker at phila.gov. So I'm on that list too. Now, one thing I will say, and this goes back to like the need for some reform in how City Council operates and projects itself. There will be this disconnect between, Decker will send out like a calendar, like sort of a scheduled calendar of bills or legislation that's up for deliberation. But, sometimes it'll be, once you get into the session of the whole, it'll be a bit different from what's on that calendar because then they'll have between the time he issues the calendar to the time they come out on the floor, virtual or not, there will be discussions, there'll be negotiations, or certain members will have come up with their own bills with their staff. So that there has to be some effort to close that gap because it is, even for me, it's difficult to follow. Like, because I'm like, well, this isn't on the calendar. Like, what are you talking about? But then I realize, I'm like, oh, okay, well, they've had discussions, they've caucused, they've come up with other bills, or members are like just introducing, like, oh, here, Michael, like, don't forget to tell them about this. And obviously they don't have time to put that down there. I get that. I mean, legislatures move in a very fluid way, and I know that as someone who's worked for different legislatures, but and legislators. But we have to figure out a way to plug that hole. And so because people like others out there, including me, I'm stumped every week because I'm like, wait, this is not here. So I'm looking for a guide. One way to plug that would be through the Philadelphia City Council social media people to be a lot more active and, kind of using that as using their Twitter thread as, for example, as a notepad to help us keep up while things are happening in real time. But Ms. Jackie, I like that idea.
I agree with all that, Charles. Can I just ask a question?
Sure.
Why do almost every week, or it might be every week, they suspend the rules? Why don't they just change the rules?
Right.
Why do they keep suspending them? Why don't they just change them?
It's a good idea. I don't know.
Okay.
We have to ask them. Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a good. Thank you. That's a good City Council President question. So maybe we'll get him back on one day when he's not too mad at me. Let me go to Mr. Yeah, I'm being told like that. Some people on the council think I smoke them too much, but I never get personal. I always notice I never get personal with them. I don't get into folks' personal business or how they talk or anything like that. We just want to talk about the substance and try to make council a better place that is accessible for everyone and that people can understand. And getting to that point entails being hard on council. But hey, listen, as the saying goes, can't stand the heat. Well, don't step into the kitchen. Like, don't be in a kid, then don't get elected. If that is part of the job. That's part of the gig. That's what you signed up for, is to absorb that kind of critique. So you make those governing institutions better for everyone. That's the whole point. Let me go to Mr. Woody out of Winfield, who's calling in for a reality check.
Wow. As the kids would say, what? I got on before the council, huh?
You did.
I usually don't make it, Charles, but I just wanted to say to all of Philadelphia to please don't forget one of the greatest dads on the planet was Cody Anderson. And I can't help but think about this man who came through here through all the years that I've been in this barbershop, and that's quite a few. He reminds everybody how to be a great dad. And if I had to look at him as an example, I would say that he's the closest thing walking to an angel when it comes to a dad. So he's not my dad, he was my buddy, but we can take an example of the footsteps he took from, being the general manager of WDAS and all those years talking to the black community, and then taking the step to buy his own radio station, WHAT, and then also taking a step to buy WURD. Those big steps were to communicate with us almost like a father overseeing Philadelphia. So thank God that we had a person like Mr. W. Cody Anderson.
Yeah, I agree. Here.
Thanks.
Thank you for that. And we definitely, during this Father's Week, this upcoming Father's Day, we honored the memory of Cody Anderson and all those fathers who lost their lives during this very dark year of pandemic. So and also this dark year as far as Philadelphia is concerned, and all, if not, most major cities this year of violence. Violence is roiling all the major cities. It's not just Philadelphia, so it's all the major cities. So let me see. Let's go to Maurice out of Southwest. Speaking of folks who throw smoke, Maurice out of Southwest calling in for a reality check. Maurice, what's up?
What gets me is that the Carousel house didn't even come up in conversation.
No.
What gets me is I did exactly what you said, called up to get on the list, and they never got back to me. I called them twice, and they never got back to me.
Okay.
Last week.
We'll find out why.
I thought what you told me, I said, you know what, Charles might be right, so I'm going to try it. And I knew what was going to happen because they know who I am. They heard my name. They hear me down on them every time. They made sure that I didn't get on there and say nothing crazy.
Did you call your district council person, Maurice?
I go to the office.
Okay. Who's that?
I go to my state rep's office.
Yeah. What about your council person? Who is that? Is that Curtis Jones?
No.
Who is it for you? Oh, who's your council person?
My council person is a choice between, because they can't decide who has the Southwest District up here by Chester Avenue. Curtis Jones has an office at the playground up there, a substation. But it's supposed to be guarded away. How you say Janie Gardaway?
Jamie Gautier is your council person. That's your address is for that council.
Wrong. But it's supposed to be her district because it was always Janie Blackwell's district. Then I noticed when I tried to get the Myers for the Man Up program that he had a substation in the back of the playground.
Okay.
And I was like, why is he around here? Because nobody in this neighborhood knows of him as being our council person. So, I haven't been to I didn't even go to the substation, but I've been to, I called her office several times, spoke to her. I've been to McClinton's office. I go to her office almost every 2 weeks because I'm so proud that she was the only one to back Larry Krasner.
Yeah.
So I stay involved in the neighborhood, and I talk to the people. And and the people, sometimes they tell me stuff I can't say on air, so I put it on the answer machine, what they tell me. Because I don't think I should put that on the air, what they say. So I put it on the answering machine to be fair. So, if anybody got a problem with me putting things on the answer machine, they can call me because it's just fair talk. I'm just telling them what they're saying.
Yeah.
And we have a problem.
It would also be a good idea too, Maurice. To I mean, it just I agree with you that it shouldn't be that hard, but unfortunately, yeah, it does. It takes work, when you do that kind of work, that kind of community work. And so, like, I mean, if you've called, so first of all, you shouldn't have a problem when you're calling your council person. Your direct council person should be responsive. Shouldn't have a problem when you sign up for public comment. We'll look into that and find out, like, why are people calling for public comment and not getting calls back or getting put on the list. I will check into that, I promise you.
And I want to say something to you too, Charles. Have you noticed that the people that be on the call list are people that are not really talking about anything serious?
Yeah. I mean, that honorific resolution thing. Yeah, that's being set up.
About their neighborhood, they're complaining about the shootings. And plus, when they run off them numbers, most people, if it's the first time you ever turn on city council to say, hey, man, I want to start getting into government and find out what's going on, all you hear is numbers. Are they lottery numbers? I don't know. They don't explain what the numbers mean.
Yeah.
They just run off of it, especially when your girl, like you like to take up for, Parker, when she gets
Maurice, understand, I'm not taking up for anyone. I don't think it's just bad form, it's bad taste. Let's be gentlemen, to talk about somebody's, how somebody talks, like especially black women, or the volume of their voice. That's like I grew up in a house. I was raised by black women who had strong voices, and I appreciate that. That's what kind of pushes us as black men, black women with strong voices and strong dispositions.
Charles,
that's a good thing.
Charles, it's not the volume of her voice; it's the way she uses it. Okay, it's not the volume.
Well then, why not? So, like, for example, this was a good example of how to approach someone like Sherelle Parker. She introduced a parking tax cut that I thought was completely wrong and off base. But, that's a policy disagreement. And you know what? It died. It died in the council. That's good. That's a good development. When that's how you approach, or you attack them on the policy substance. But, people want to get into other issues that I think are just completely irrelevant. We got too much stuff going on in Philly, man. We got, that. You live into it.
Yeah, I know that, but she also extended the tax abatement too.
Yeah, I agree, and that's something that we disagree with. So that's what we have to tackle on.
But they gave us the illusion that they was going to deduct it.
I know.
They raised it. And
I know.
That's trickery.
So and I agree with you. I could see that's where you and I, Maurice, completely agree. Even though I know you like a lot of times you have issues with me, but see, I agree with you, and I let you say that, and see, that's what I want to encourage. Because what happens is we start having conversations about personal stuff, about how they talk, how they look, the level of their voice, or what happened in their past. And then we spend so much energy on that. We burn cycles on that. We miss the conversation about the important stuff, parking tax cut, tax abatement, the Burt tax.
Charles,
that's what I'm saying. Like that's the kind of stuff people need to focus on.
Charles, I never spoke about her past because I know nothing about her past.
Oh no, I'm not saying you, Maurice. I'm not saying you, but I know some people come on here and they've been like, oh yeah, you want to talk about? And I was like, no, I don't want to talk about that. You notice I'm like, I get quiet, or I'm like, well, I change the subject because I'm like, that's irrelevant. That has nothing to do literally with the price of bread that people need to buy to eat. It has nothing to do with that. Someone on Facebook Live who's saying this now. No, the diction it means nothing compared to what people are going through in the city of Philadelphia.
I'm just angry at what they do, Charles. I'm just angry at what they do.
You should be.
How they're playing the citizens of Philadelphia for fools. And and the worst part of it is we going along with it.
Yeah.
You can have a fool tell you something, but you're a bigger fool when you accept it. And that's when I'm mad that people are accepting that these people, that these celebrities, when they're public servants. Nobody never calls them public servants. They're spending our money. And people don't realize that. When you say they want this project, they're for $43 million, they always come up with these big numbers. But we got to understand that's coming out of our wallet. It ain't coming out of theirs.
That's right. I agree. You and I are both on the same page about that. So you and I are both on the same page about that. I most of the time, Maurice, I actually agree with you. Even though you think opposite, I gotta let you go. Even though you think opposite, and then from time to time you smoke me on other platforms. Don't think that I don't hear about that. So, but I agree with you most of the time, and I think so. When we focus on the substance, the policy substance, those are the conversations I want to get into. Those policy substance conversations about quality of life, infrastructure. I don't want to gossip. I don't like gossiping. I'm not. First of all, like, I'm kind of old school, and like, the way where I grew up, like, dudes don't gossip. So, you try to stay away from that. And secondly, it just burns a lot of energy. Like, I don't want to gossip about somebody's voice, or something some speculation about their past or whatever. However, I do want to have a conversation about how they're tackling these important challenges that the city is dealing with, or their residents or like the community is dealing with. We can have very hard and tough, uncomfortable conversations about that, and then see if we can figure out if we can take another path, a different way, so we can get to a goal. Let me go to Ken out of center. But to real quick before I go to Ken, two very good points here that Maurice is making. One, stop treating elected officials like celebrities. They are not celebrities. Whether they're in Philadelphia, whether they're on Capitol Hill, stop treating these people like celebrities. They are public servants. They earn a living. They got elected to serve us. That is their job. That is what they're supposed to do. That is what their staff is supposed to do. So they are not celebrities. Yes, they are to be respected. They should be respected. Shouldn't be calling them out their names. They are elected officials, especially black elected officials. It took a lot to get there, and I, especially like, for example, black members of Congress. I used to walk through the halls as a congressional staffer a long time ago, and they will always get you, whether I agreed with them or disagreed with them. They always got my respect, and that's we should do that. They should get respect. Just basic civil decency, but they are not celebrities. They're there to work for us. And we need to stick with the substance of these conversations. Let me go to Ken out of Center City, who's calling in for a reality check. Mr. Ken?
Greetings, comrades, sisters, and brothers, and how have you been doing, my man?
How you doing, sir? All right, greetings.
I hope that everyone out there is well. And you heard this fella. Hey, Maurice, go testify, man. That's what all of you need to do. Get up off of it, pick up the phone.
He tried. Apparently he had some trouble, Mr. Ken. He did. He said he claimed he called for public comment, and he didn't get on the list. So we have to figure that out. I'm going to find out what's going on with that.
We need to get out there and do that. There are hearings on budgets. Would you believe, like 2 days on city council operations doing budgets? I think that's 2 weeks ago. They had 200 people sitting up on the phones for 2 days. 200. Out of all types of organizations. We need to make sure that we start getting in it. Maurice, you're doing the right thing. But, hey, man, hang in there. Don't just give up. All of you out there, go at this. Keep the pressure on. There's a reason for it. There was a bill that was run by Curtis Jones. I know some people don't like good old Curtis. I'm not happy about some of the things he does. But there was a bill out there, and it failed recently. And it was on a civilian police control board. It would have changed everything. I got to get a copy of that thing with all of the amendments and so forth so I can figure out why is it that it failed. Because I got to get the vote runs on that thing. Something didn't go right. In this city, I'm not going to be long on this. We've got to start pressurizing everybody. I've been to demonstrations. Only about 3 or 4 city council people show up at demonstrations and give speeches. District Council 33 had a demonstration downtown. Love Park, covered with people. Couldn't even see straight. I think there were 4 city council people that showed up. That's all. That's not right. It's one thing for you not to be able to get out there and put yourself over a city council meeting, which is coming up real soon. It's a totally different thing when you got a union out there. I couldn't believe how many black folk were out there with signs and banners, women and men, white folk, all types of folks, Asian people. It was insane. They were doing it. And they were fighting for you because they were looking for a minimum wage rise also. Yesterday, there was an American Jobs Act demonstration down at the Municipal Services Building. It was. You had all of these people out there demonstrating. Some folks from something called the Black Lives Matter operation. Labor for Black Lives was there. You should have seen them. Awesome. You got to pressurize these people. Folk are getting killed in the city. Yeah, that's one thing. But there is, on the 30th of this month, the federal eviction moratorium goes. That means I'm going to be looking at about 100,000 people sitting out in the streets. This is happening. So look, I'm out of it.
You know, I just realized too, because I was I had thought the police the new police oversight board, you know, that did pass council. It's sitting with Mayor Kenny.
Man,
Yeah, it did. Yeah. No, I was just I remember when you were saying that earlier. I was just checking because I was like, wait a second, I thought that passed, right? Because I remember we were hearing it, but it's just sitting with the mayor. So as far as I know, he has to sign it.
The mayor.
Yeah.
Well, it did pass. Okay. Good. I'm so glad.
Yeah, there was only one vote against that. It was Brian O'Neill, Councilmember Brian O'Neill, who voted against that. So, I mean, but I think Kennedy is expected to sign it. I haven't checked up on that to see. I don't think he signed it. So, but he was expected to. I have to let you go, Mr. Kent, so I can take one of these other calls. But no, I appreciate that. But no, you're absolutely right. You know, you got to stay with it. It's not gonna. None of this stuff happens overnight. None of it's easy. It's a constant fight. And you got to stay in it. That's what they want you to be. They want you to get exhausted, and they want you to just give up and just throw your hands up in the air. But you can't do that. Let me let you go, Mr. Ken. Thanks so much for those comments. Let me go to Ms. Ada out of Mount Airy, who's calling in for a reality check while we wait on Philadelphia City Council. Ms. Ada, how are you doing? Good morning.
Good morning, Charles. Thank you for taking my call.
Yep.
Charles, I would like to say, what is the solution? These people have been in office so long. City council members, there's no one running against them.
Yeah.
I think that's part of the problem, Charles. And there is no solution. We get on here, we talk about the same things every day, just about. And the same problems are continuing. They just got all this money. What are they going to do with all that money? I mean, it's not a lot, but it is something to begin with.
It's a lot. It gives the city a cushion to operate for 3 years.
Right, if they do the right thing.
That's good, yeah.
If they do the right thing. That's all I'm saying. That's the only thing I had to say. And thank you for taking my call.
Yeah, no, thank you.
I'm just fed up with city council, though. I really am fed up with most of them. They could do a lot better job for us. They are servants.
Right. That's true. I agree with you. That's how, you know, you got it. You know, once again, it's like, so when you know, I mean, first of all, you know, that's the other reason why, like, I'm really against, especially this year, council doing something like taking, and they shouldn't have did this last year, you know, taking like that 3-month recess. You've been operating virtually, so it's not like it hasn't. I mean, you've already kind of had, you've had a lot of flexibility. I mean, a lot of us who've been remotely working, which is typically what I do, even before pandemic, I've worked remotely, and so. You work hard. You're very productive. Remote work does make you productive because you don't have to worry about sitting in traffic and whatnot. But you get a lot of flexibility to do things at your own pace. So you know they've had a lot of I mean, it's the virtual convening where it was necessary because you don't want people getting sick just because they're showing up in council chambers. You know that actually helped them kind of work at a less stressful pace than when they're in chambers. So it's like, I mean, like, why y'all taking a 3-month recess? Like, you've been working virtually.
Either way you slice it, Charles,
yeah, I
mean,
they
have had the opportunity to do better.
Yeah, and so, you know, there's some things that are there's some gaps right now. There's some spots they've missed, you know, in terms of, you know, and you just want to keep up that momentum, too. You want to show a sense of urgency. Urgency, you know, show intensity in terms of how you grapple with and you address these issues, because people are, you know, and the public's watching and they're looking to you for leadership, and they rely on you for leadership to help fix these issues and fix these problems.
Exactly.
And people just appreciate it more. Like I said, everybody deserves a break. But like 3 months, and then they'll say no, we're still in business. Like, come on, like, yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Some of those folks out there on vacation.
Solution. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you'll see them. You'll catch them on like social media or on Instagram or something, like someplace far off. It's like, wait a second, I thought you said you was open for business. You're gonna catch a few of them on Instagram, like hanging out, like, and it's gonna be like, wait a second, this is more than just a couple of weeks. They've been like for a month now. They've been going from place to place. But yeah, I like I said, I get it. I mean, there is. Yeah. You do need a break, and there is, there's business that is done. Some of them do work and do business and do kind of follow up with constituents and everything. You want to have more time for that, but I feel that's got to be done a little differently. Ms. Ada, I got to let you go.
Okay, thank you. But they all have to be on one accord too, Charles. We're paying all this tax money for what? I mean, come on. All right. Well, thank you for taking my call.
Yeah. No, I thank you. And people got to get out the vote. So Ms. Ada hit it. One, Philadelphia City Council is on. Let's tune in.
Thank you. And good morning, everyone. Appreciate you being here. Before we begin the council session, I just want to make a brief announcement. Due to the public health emergency, City Council is currently meeting remotely. We are using Microsoft Teams to make this remote meeting possible. Instructions for how the public may view the meeting and offer public comment are included in the stated meeting notice that was published in the Daily News, Inquirer, and Legal Intelligence prior to the meeting. It can also be found on phlcouncil.com. I now note that the hour is come. Mr. Decker, will please call the roll, take attendance. Members that are in attendance will please indicate that they are present to ensure that your image is displayed on the screen. Mr. Decker, call the roll.
Councilwoman Bass.
Good morning, Council President, colleagues in the City of Philadelphia. I am present.
Morning.
Good morning.
Councilwoman Brooks.
Good morning. I'm present.
Good morning.
Councilman Dom.
Good morning, Council President and colleagues in the City of Philadelphia.
Good morning.
Councilwoman Gauthier.
Good morning, Council President, colleagues in Philadelphia. Present.
Good morning.
Councilwoman Gilmore Richardson.
Good morning, Council President. Good morning, colleagues, and good morning to the City of Philadelphia. I'm present.
Good morning.
Councilman Green.
Good morning, Council President. Good morning, colleagues. Good morning, City of Philadelphia.
Good morning.
I am present.
Councilwoman Gim.
Good morning, Council President. Good morning, colleagues. I am present.
Good morning.
Councilman Heenan.
Good morning, Council President. Good morning, colleagues. I am present.
Good morning.
Councilman Johnson.
Good morning, Council President. Good morning, colleagues. Still calling for justice for family members who have lost their loved ones to gun violence.
Good morning.
Councilman Jones.
Good morning, Mr. President, colleagues. City of Philadelphia, I am present.
Good morning.
Councilman O.
Good morning, Council President. Good morning, colleagues. I am present.
Good morning.
Councilman O'Neill.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Councilwoman Parker.
Good morning, Mr. President, colleagues, and the viewing public.
Good morning.
Councilwoman Quinones Sanchez.
Good morning, Council President. Good morning, colleagues.
Good morning.
Councilman Squilla.
Good morning, Council President, colleagues. Present.
Good morning.
Councilman Thomas.
Good morning, Council President. Good morning, colleagues. Present.
Good morning.
Council President Clark.
Good morning, everyone. We have clearly established a quorum. I'll see you will now come to order. To begin our invocation this morning, the chair recognizes a very special guest, former Councilwoman Janie Blackwell. She is here today as the guest of Councilman O. I would ask that all members and guests to please bow your heads for this Awesome invitation.
Thank you.
First of all, good to see you. Second of all, please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning. It is such an honor and a privilege. I thank Councilman O for inviting me to give this invocation. You know, it's one of the joys of my service here to have this opportunity every now and then to certainly present this invocation. Before I begin, let me bring special condolences to Ann Verna, who was certainly my friend on council, a wonderful leader, the first woman president of council, and one who will always be remembered. I would also like to thank those who shared in Odunde from the 6th to the 13th, and those who will be part of this Juneteenth celebration, for which the House as well as the Senate before passed legislation. So these are exciting times. These are exciting times, and I'm proud to be here with all of you, all my colleagues with whom I served in the past, and all of those who are now part of this wonderful body. I pray that God will let me say, let us pray. Heavenly Father, please bless all who are here. Bless their families. Bless the city they represent. Please give them the wisdom to represent their districts and our city well, to do their homework, to know what is right to do, and to do the right thing to bring our city forward, to do it in the right manner which you would plan. And Heavenly Father, I ask that you give them the passion to care. We have to love one another. We have to care what happens in our city if we are to make it the kind of place it should be. And Heavenly Father, we ask that you ask for special blessings when it comes to crime, because crime makes us all victims. We ask that you help us in this area. We also ask that you help those who are homeless, those who are hungry, those who don't know where their next meal is coming from. We ask that you bless those who don't know how to pay for their mortgage or their rent. We ask that you bless those who are incarcerated, especially those who are incarcerated for crimes they didn't commit. We ask that you help all of us to do what we should to make this city a better place. And we ask that you bless those on state level and our president, and those on a federal level, because the older we get and the more we serve, the more we realize that we are all connected, and we must be if we are to serve and serve our city well. I thank you, Lord, for all those who are here. Again, I ask that you guide them as they go forward to do the right thing in thy name. And Heavenly Father, we ask all these blessings in thy name and for thy sake. Amen. Amen.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
Thank you.
Amen.
Thank you. Loved it.
This is WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia. Black Talk Media.
Tomorrow.
Yes, see you tomorrow.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much for that invitation. Our next order of business is the approval of the journal of the meeting of Thursday, June 10th, 2021. And the chair recognizes Councilman Spiller.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the journal of the meeting on Thursday, June 10th, 2021 be approved.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and probably second that the journal of the meeting of Thursday, June 10th, 2021 stand approved. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it, and the journal is approved. And our next order of business is the request for leave of absence. And the chair recognizes Councilwoman Parker.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of the members of council, there are no requests for leaves of absence today.
Chair, thanks to Councilwoman. And our next order of business is communication. We ask the clerk, please read the messages from the mayor and any other communications that he may have in his possession.
From the mayor to the president and members of the council of the city of Philadelphia, letter dated June 11, 2021. Pursuant to sections 4604 and 2307 of the onWURD Charter, I am today transmitting to the council the recommendation of the City Planning Commission on the following bills. Bill numbers 210444, 210445, 210449, 210469, 210470, and a letter dated June 14, 2021, pursuant to sections 4604 and 2307 of the Home Rule Charter, and today transmitted to the Council the recommendation of the City Planning Commission on the following bills. Bill numbers 210361, 210420, 210444, 210467, 210468, 210471, 210473, 210474, 210479, 210480, 210482, 210483, 210484, and 210504. And a letter dated June 16, 2021, pursuant to sections 2302, subparagraph 2 of the Home Rule Charter, and today transmitted to the Council the recommendation of the City Planning Commission on amendments to the following bills. Bill numbers 210320 and 210321. And I am pleased to advise you that on June 14, 2021, I signed the following bill, which was passed by Council at its session on June 11, 2021, Bill number 210328. And I am transmitting for the consideration of your honorable body a resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 2201 East Tioga Street, located in the 1st Councilmanic District, and a resolution authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to execute and deliver to the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority deeds conveying fee simple title to certain city-owned lots and pieces of ground with the buildings and improvements thereon, situated in the 1st Councilmanic District, and a resolution authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to execute and deliver to the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority deeds conveying fee simple title to certain city-owned lots and pieces of ground with the buildings and improvements thereon, situated in the 2nd Councilmanic District, and a resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 610 South 54th Street and 5410 Spruce Street, located in the 3rd Councilmanic District, and a resolution authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to execute and deliver to the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority deeds conveying fee simple title to certain city-owned lots and pieces of ground with the buildings and improvements thereon, situated in the 3rd Councilmanic District, and a resolution authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to execute and deliver to the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority deeds conveying fee simple title to certain city-owned lots and pieces of ground with the buildings and improvements thereon, situated in the 4th Councilmanic District, and a resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 3252 Germantown Avenue, located in the 5th Councilmanic District, all under certain terms and conditions.
Thank you. And our next order of business is introduction of bills and resolutions. By way of a reminder, we are asking that all resolutions, including privilege resolution, be placed on the final passage calendar for the next session of council unless they are being referred to committee. In our current remote environment, this procedure will provide an appropriate opportunity for public comment. Thank you very much for your anticipated cooperation. Clerk will please read the title of the legislation that's going on today by the number.
Councilwoman Parker offers 9 resolutions. On behalf of Council President Clark, a resolution appointing George Pegram to the Board of Directors of the Philadelphia Municipal Authority, and a resolution appointing Jacqueline Dunn to the Board of Directors of the Philadelphia Municipal Authority, and a resolution reappointing Lynette Brown-So to the Board of Directors of the Philadelphia Municipal Authority, and a resolution appointing Michael Hill to the Board of Directors of the Philadelphia Municipal Authority, and a resolution reappointing Robert Zawitsky to the Board of Directors of the Philadelphia Municipal Authority. And on
next week's calendar.
And on her own behalf, a resolution adding Gary Tyrone Clayton to the street signs on the 5600 block of North 10th Street in recognition of his contributions to young men in the Alany community and across Philadelphia through the Together Brothers Boxing Club.
And that will be on next week's calendar.
And a resolution urging the General Assembly to adopt House Bill 923, which would allow for Philadelphia and municipalities throughout Pennsylvania to enact their own living wage legislation.
Next week's calendar.
And a resolution adding Marion Johnson to the street signs on the block intersections of 8th and Duncannon Streets to 9th and Duncannon Streets in recognition of her public service in the 9th Councilmanic District and to the City of Philadelphia, as well as her dedication to ensuring the support and success of Barrett Playground.
Next week's calendar.
And a resolution adding Benita Cruz to the street signs on the 7300 block of Stenton Avenue in recognition of her lifelong service to others and her advocacy in the optometry field.
Next week's calendar.
Councilwoman Gilmore Richardson offers 5 resolutions. On behalf of Council President Clark, a resolution approving the redevelopment contract of the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority for the redevelopment and urban renewal of a portion of the Model City's urban renewal area, identified by house numbers and street addresses as 1807 through 1833 North 8th Street, 1837 through 1861 North 8th Street, 720 through 730 West Burke Street, including 1838 through 1842 North Franklin Street, 1826 North Franklin Street, and 1832 North Franklin Street.
Those will be placed on next week's calendar.
And a resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 3252 Germantown Avenue, located in the 5th Councilmanic District. And a resolution authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to execute and deliver to the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority deeds conveying fee simple title to certain city on lots of pieces of ground with the buildings and improvements thereon, situated in the 5th Councilmanic District.
Next week's calendar.
On her own behalf, Councilwoman Gilmore Richardson offers a resolution recognizing and honoring Omar Tate for his efforts to address food insecurity, elevate Black food and culture, and to create a safe community space through his work to open the Honeysuckle Community Center.
Next week's calendar.
And a resolution honoring and congratulating Dr. Sherelle Barber for her appointment as director of the Ubuntu Center on Racism, Global Movements, and Population Health Equity at Drexel University.
Next week's calendar.
Councilwoman Gim offers 1 resolution, entitled a resolution supporting the School District of Philadelphia's efforts to ensure our schools are safe havens for immigrant families by protecting students' learning environments from disruption by immigration enforcement actions and by safeguarding students' confidential information, and endorsing the district's proposed Welcoming Sanctuary Schools resolution.
Next week's calendar.
Councilman Jones offers 1 resolution, authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to execute and deliver to the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority deeds conveying fee simple title to 5436 West Girard Avenue, 662 North Conestoga Street, 658 North Conestoga Street, 650 North Conestoga Street, 653 North Sickle Street, 644 North Sickle Street, 642 North Sickle Street, 655 North 55th Street, 653 North 55th Street, 651 North 55th Street, 649 North 55th Street, 647 North 55th Street, 645 North 55th Street, 643 North 55th Street, 641 North 55th Street, 623 through 633 North 55th Street, 543 North Conestoga Street, 541 North Conestoga Street, 533 North Conestoga Street, 550 North 54th Street, 546 North 54th Street, 538 through 540 North 54th Street, 534 through 536 North 54th Street, 55 and 5552 Harmer Street in the 4th Councilmanic District. Councilman Johnson offers 3 resolutions. On behalf of Council President Clark, a resolution approving the appointment of William McCullough to the Philadelphia Water, Sewer, and Stormwater Rate Board, and a resolution appointing the reappointment of Abby Pozevsky to the Philadelphia Water, Sewer, and Stormwater Rate Board. And on his own behalf, a resolution honoring the life and legacy of former Council President Anna Verna, a political trailblazer and beloved public servant, on the occasion of her passing.
The water rate is in Council President Verna's resolution. Next week's calendar. Are we looking for suspension of the rules on that?
Yes, Council President.
Thank you. Make the formal motion, Councilman.
Sure, Council President. Council President, I move for the suspension of the rules to vote on the resolution.
Second.
Second.
Second of the rules of council be suspended, so let's allow the vote on the resolution of today's calendar. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Additionally, Council. Thank you, Council President.
Yeah.
Mr. President, we're having difficulty hearing you.
Yeah.
I am.
Yeah, we're having some challenges with our technology today.
Councilwoman Quinones Sanchez offers a resolution recognizing the month of June as Immigrant Heritage Month and Caribbean American Heritage Month in the city of Philadelphia.
Chair recognizes Councilwoman Quinones Sanchez. Oh, I'm sorry. That's for first. I'm sorry, that's on next week's calendar. Cheryl's over here. Right?
Councilwoman Brooks offers a resolution honoring the inaugural graduating class of 8 Fellows of Women's Way, Change the Narrative Fellowship Program, an initiative of the Women's Economic Security Initiative.
Next week's calendar.
Councilwoman Gauthier offers 8 resolutions. Entitled, a resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority to execute and deliver to the Philadelphia Land Bank deeds conveying title to certain properties located in the 3rd Councilmanic District. And a resolution.
Wait a minute. They are land bank resolutions?
Yes, Mr. President.
Just read them all. Thank you.
And a resolution approving the ratification and 4th Amendment to the redevelopment agreement of the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority for the redevelopment and urban renewal of the portion of the University City Unit Number 5 urban renewal area identified as parcel number 14. And a resolution approving the redevelopment contract of the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority for the redevelopment and urban renewal of a portion of the Mantua urban renewal area identified by house numbers and street addresses as 3700 through 3704 Brown Street, including 3708 through 3712 Brown Street, 749 through 757 North DeKalb Street, and 772 through 780 North 37th Street, 3706 Brown Street, and 3714 Brown Street. And a resolution approving the redevelopment contract of the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority for the redevelopment and urban renewal of a portion of the Sarah Allen urban renewal area, identified by house number and street address as 864 through 874 North Preston Street, and 871 through 873 Bud Street. And a resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 4974 Kershaw Street, 4978 Kershaw Street, 4980 Kershaw Street, 4222 Powelton Avenue, and 3803 Fairmount Avenue, located in the 3rd Councilmanic District. And a resolution approving the redevelopment contract of the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority for the redevelopment and urban renewal of a portion of the West Mill Creek urban renewal area, identified by house number and street address as 920 through 936 North 51st Street, and a resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 610 South 54th Street and 5410 Spruce Street, located in the 3rd Councilmanic District, and a resolution authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to execute and deliver to the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority deeds conveying fee simple title to 723 North Shedwick Street, 713 North 35th Street, 3408 Mantua Avenue, 3410 Mantua Avenue, and 3518 Wallace Street in the 3rd Councilmanic District.
Next week's calendar.
Councilman Thomas offers 1 resolution entitled, a resolution honoring and congratulating Champion of the Week, Tracy Carter, for creating the Youth Anti-Violence Program Anchors Camp after losing his brother to gun violence.
Next week's calendar.
Councilman Squilla offers 1 bill and 1 resolution entitled, an ordinance establishing no truck parking regulations in the vicinity of Wickago Street and Oregon Avenue.
For the committee.
And a resolution authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to execute and deliver to the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority deeds conveying fee simple title to 2048 Fletcher Street, 2646 Ritter Street, 2658 Ritter Street, 2637 Janney Street, 2639 Janney Street, 2643 Janney Street, 2645 Janney Street, and 2649 Janney Street in the 1st Councilmanic District.
Next week's calendar.
And Councilman O offers 1 resolution honoring and congratulating Im Ja Choi, founder and CEO of Penn Asian Senior Services, for her steadfast service to the local Asian American community on the occasion of her retirement.
Next week's calendar.
There are no other bills or resolutions being offered today by the members, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Mr. Decker. Appreciate that. That concludes our introduction of bills and resolutions. And our next order of business is reports from committee. And Chair recognizes Councilman Johnson for report from the Committee on Rules. Councilman Johnson.
Yes, I'm available, Council President. Give me 1 second. Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. President. The Committee on Rules reports out 16 bills with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you. Mr. Decker, please read the report.
To the President and members of the Council of the City of Philadelphia, Committee on Rules, to which is referred Bill number 210361, entitled, an ordinance amending Title 14 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Zoning and Planning, to revise certain provisions of Section 14504, entitled NCO Neighborhood Conservation Overlay District, and Bill number 210445, entitled an ordinance amending Title 14 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Zoning and Planning, by revising and consolidating provisions of Chapter 14500, entitled Overlay Zoning Districts, by amending Section 14524, entitled FDO 4th District Overlay District, and Section 14527, entitled WYN Winfield District Overlay District. And Bill number 210446, entitled an ordinance amending Title 14 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Zoning and Planning, to revise certain provisions of Chapter 14600, entitled Use Regulations, by amending use standards for historically designated properties. And Bill number 210449, entitled an ordinance amending Title 14 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Zoning and Planning, by revising a table within Section 14701, Dimensional Standards. And Bill number 210467, entitled an ordinance to amend the Philadelphia zoning maps by changing the zoning designations of certain areas of land located within an area bounded by Cecil B. Moore Avenue, 20th Street, Oxford Street, and 21st Street. And Bill number 210468, entitled an ordinance to amend the Philadelphia zoning maps by changing the zoning designations of certain areas of land located within an area bounded by Thompson Street Extended, 6th Street, Girard Avenue, Percy Street, Harper Street, and 13th Street, and to amend Title 14 of the Philadelphia Code by revising certain provisions of Chapter 14500, entitled Overlay Zoning Districts, by creating the GAO, Girard Avenue Overlay District. And Bill number 210469, entitled an ordinance amending Title 14 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Zoning and Planning, to revise certain provisions of Chapter 14500, entitled Overlay Zoning Districts, by amending the NCP North Central Philadelphia Overlay District. And Bill number 210470, entitled an ordinance amending Chapter 14900 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Signs, by providing for new sign controls, entitled 1900 Market Street Digital Display Sign Regulations. And Bill number 210471, entitled an ordinance authorizing non-accessory parking on the premises located at 4422 through 24 Ridge Avenue. And Bill number 210473, entitled an ordinance amending Chapter 14-1000 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Historic Preservation, to establish a temporary demolition moratorium with respect to properties in the area of Christian Street between Broad and 20th Streets. And Bill number 210474, entitled an ordinance amending Title 14 of the Philadelphia Code by revising certain provisions of Section 14702, entitled Floor Area, Height, and Housing Unit Density Bonuses. And Bill number 210479, entitled an ordinance to amend the master plan for the University of Pennsylvania by areas of land located within an area bounded by Chestnut Street, 33rd Street, Ludlow Street, and 34th Street. And Bill number 210480, entitled an ordinance to amend the Philadelphia zoning maps by changing the zoning designations of certain areas of land located within an area bounded by Civic Center Boulevard, University Avenue, Spruce Street, and 34th Street. And Bill number 210482, entitled an ordinance amending Chapter 14500 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Overlay Zoning Districts, by creating a new section entitled HHC Heliport Hazard Control Overlay District. And Bill number 210483, entitled an ordinance amending the Philadelphia zoning maps by changing the zoning designations of certain areas of land located within an area bounded by Allegheny Avenue, Collins Street, Westmoreland Street, and Tulip Street. And Bill number 210484, entitled an ordinance to amend the Philadelphia zoning maps by changing the zoning designations of certain areas of land located within an area bounded by Broad Street, Erie Avenue, Hunting Park Avenue, Wissahickon Avenue, Railroad Right-of-Way, Clarissa Street, Juniata Street, Germantown Avenue, Hunting Park Avenue, and Roosevelt Boulevard. Respectful reports, it has considered the same and returns the attached bills to council with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you. Chair again recognizes Councilman Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the adoption of the resolutions.
Can I get a second?
Second.
The rules of the council be suspended so as to permit first reading this day of the 16 bills that were just read into the record by the Chief Clerk.
Second. It's been moved and properly second that the rules of council be suspended so as to permit first reading this day of 16 bills that were just read by the clerk. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Ayes have it. These bills will be placed in our first reading calendar for today. Chair now recognizes Councilman Thomas for a report from the Committee on Streets and Services.
Thank you, Council President. The Committee on Streets and Services reports out 11 bills with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you. Mr. Decker, please read the report.
The Committee on Streets and Services, which was referred to number 200710, entitled An Ordinance Amending Chapter 12, 2700 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Permit Parking District, by amending the boundaries for certain permit parking districts and by establishing a new permit parking district. And Bill number 200711, entitled An Ordinance Amending Section 12, 2705 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Issuance of Resident Parking Permit, to address the rules regarding issuance of resident parking permits. And Bill number 200712, entitled An Ordinance Amending Section 12, 2705 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Issuance of Resident Parking Permits, to address the cost of resident parking permits for certain low-income individuals. And Bill number 210280, entitled An Ordinance Authorizing the Procurement Commissioner to enter into a contract for the construction of a sewer and appurtenant work required to provide public sewer service in the 1600 block of Olive Street. And Bill number 210326, entitled An Ordinance Establishing No Truck Parking and Tow-Away Zone Regulations on both sides of Sackett Street from Cotman Avenue to Ryan Avenue. And Bill number 210327, entitled An Ordinance Establishing No Truck Parking and Tow-Away Zone Regulations on both sides of St. Vincent Street from Sackett Street to Hawthorne Street. And Bill number 210451, entitled An Ordinance Amending Chapter 10700 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Refuse and Littering, by amending Section 10719, entitled Penalties, by revising the penalty to be assessed for violations of this chapter. And Bill number 210472, entitled An Ordinance Amending Chapter 12, 2700 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Permit Parking Districts, by amending the boundaries of Permit Parking District 16. And Bill number 210502, entitled An Ordinance Amending Section 12701 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Designation of Bicycle Lanes, to authorize a bicycle lane on North 13th Street from Spring Garden Street to Green Street. And Bill number 210504, entitled An Ordinance Authorizing the Revision of Lines and Grades on a portion of City Plan number 167 within the area bounded by 67th Street, Vine Street, 69th Street, and Haverford Avenue, by striking portions of certain streets from the city plan and vacating portions of certain streets from the city plan and reserving and placing on the city plan multiple rights of way for gas main purposes and public utility purposes. And Bill number 210509, entitled An Ordinance Amending Title 12 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Traffic Code, by creating a new Chapter 12, 3500, entitled Personal Delivery Devices, to regulate the operation of personal delivery devices within the city of Philadelphia in certain circumstances. Respectfully reports that it's considered the same and returns the attached bills to council with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you, Mr. Decker. Chair again recognizes Councilman Thomas.
Thank you, Council President. I move that the rules of council be suspended so to permit first reading this day of the 11 bills that were just read into the record by the clerk.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and probably second that the rules of council be suspended so as to permit first reading this day of the 11 bills that were just read by the clerk. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye. Aye. Aye.
Those opposed? Ayes have it, and this bill will be on our first reading calendar today. Chair now recognizes Councilwoman Parker for a report from the Committee on Labor and Civil Service.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Committee on Labor and Civil Service reports out 2 bills with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you. Mr. Decker, please read the report.
The Committee on Labor and Civil Service, which is referred Bill number 210443, entitled An Ordinance Amending Chapter 9 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Regulation of Businesses, Trades, and Professions, by adding a new chapter related to hiring entities providing covered individuals with a workforce and career pathways information sheet. And Bill number 210500, entitled an ordinance amending section 13101 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Fixing and Regulating Rates and Charges, to extend the prevailing wage provisions of the code that apply in connection with the receipt of charity water rates and making technical changes. Respectfully reports that it has considered the same and returns the attached bills to council with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you. Chair again recognizes Councilwoman Parker.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the rules of council be suspended so as to permit first reading this day of bill numbers 210443 and 210500.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and properly second that the rules of council be suspended so as to permit first reading of the day of bills number 210443 and 210500. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it, and these bills will be placed on our first reading calendar today. Chair now recognizes Councilman Jones for a report from the Committee on Public Safety.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Committee on Public Safety reports one bill with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you. Mr. Decker, please read that report.
The Committee on Public Safety, to which is referred Bill number 210503, entitled an ordinance amending Chapter 10300, entitled Minors, to revise the evening curfew hours, modify provisions for enforcement and penalties, and make technical changes. Respectfully reports that it has considered the same and returns the attached bill to council with a favorable recommendation.
Chair again recognizes Councilman Jones.
Thank you again, Mr. President. I move that the rules of council be suspended so as to permit first reading this day of bill number 210503.
Second.
Thank you. It has been moved and properly second that the rules of council be suspended so as to permit first reading this day of bills number 210503. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? Ayes have it, and these bills will be placed on our first reading of the calendar today. That concludes our report from committee, and our next order of business is the consideration of the calendar. The bills just reported from this committee with suspension of the rules have been deemed to have a first reading, and these bills will be placed on our second reading and final passage calendar next session of council. Chair at this time recognizes Councilman Squilla for a motion regarding bill number 21042.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the rules of council be suspended as to permit an amendment to be offered on bill number 210482 at this time.
Second.
Thank you. Thank you. All in favor of the motion will signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? Ayes have it. And again, the chair recognizes Councilman Squilla.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to offer an amendment to bill number 210482. A copy of the amendment has been circulated to all members of council. I move for the adoption of the amendment.
Second.
All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Ayes have it. Bill number 210482 has been amended, and bill number 210482 as amended will be placed on the final passage calendar at the next session of council. As there are no additional bills on the first reading calendar, the chair recognizes Councilman Parker for a motion concerning the resolutions on the final passage calendar. Councilwoman.
Mr. President, I move that the rules of council be suspended to permit the use of a consent agenda to consider the following resolutions on the final passage calendar today. They are resolution numbers 210551, 210552, 210553, 210554, 210556, 210557, 210558, 210559, 210561, 210563, 210564, 210565, 210566, 210567, and 210517.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and second that the rules of council be suspended to permit the use of a consent agenda to consider the resolutions just read by Councilwoman Parker. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, ayes have it. Motion carries with the consider the resolution consent agenda shortly. Councilman Green, did you want to be recognized prior to the announcement of the bill on second reading, or did you want to wait until not clear?
We can do it now, we can do it later. It was reference to this, not the consent agenda, but the second final passage.
Okay. All right. Okay. Chair now recognizes Councilwoman Parker for a motion concerning the bills on the second reading on final passage count.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the rules of council be suspended to permit the use of a consent agenda to consider the following bills on the second reading and final passage calendars today. They are numbers 210332-A, 210476, 210477, 200662, 200677, 210076, 210248, 210281, 210282, 210293, 210418, 210419, 210424, 210444, 210450, 210117, 210388, 210389, 210510, and 210511.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded that the rules of council be suspended to permit the use of a consent agenda to consider the bills just read by Councilwoman Parker. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, ayes have it. Motion carried. We will consider the consent agenda shortly. Chair, I'm going to now recognize Councilman Green.
Yes, Council President. For the bills being brought up on the second reading and final passage calendar, I know there was a bill listed 200075. I want to check to make sure that is the correct bill and not 210475. 210475 deals with the consolidated plan, and wanted to make sure if that is the bill that's going to be brought up on the second reading and final passage calendar. My understanding the script has 200075.
Mr. Decker.
Mr. President, I have 00075 being called up for consideration today. I do not have the consolidated plan being called up.
Consolidated plan should be called up today.
Right, that's why I was checking to make sure.
Okay. Did you get information that it was not called up today, to be called up today, Mr. Decker?
I did, Mr. President.
Okay.
I don't think, in terms of what we need to do, makes much of a difference in timing wise. Can you list that be called up? It would be 200047. Okay.
Council President, can we just add it to the end of our calendar today, in additional resolutions and bills?
Yeah, I just want to make sure that that's noted.
Yes, Mr. President, I have it. Councilwoman Parker, if she would call that up in the list of bills, 210475.
Okay. Okay. Cool. All right.
Just a point of information, Mr. President,
Yes.
and for our chief clerk, I am calling up bill number 210475 up for bills and resolutions on the regular second reading and final passage calendar. Is that correct, Mr. President and Mr. Chief Clerk?
Yes, Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to make sure that I had clarity.
Yes. Yes, Councilman. Okay, straight?
Yes.
Okay. Chair again
Thank you,
recognizes.
Council President.
Well, Chair again recognizes Councilwoman Parker for the purpose of calling up bills and resolutions on the regular second reading and final passage calendars today.
Thank you, Mr. President. In addition to the resolutions and bills being considered on the consent agendas, the following resolutions and bills are being called up from the second reading and final passage calendars today. They are numbers 210475, 210555, 210562, 210568, 210079, 210514, 210524, 210421, 210508, 210075, 210329, 210330, 210501, and 210507. All other bills and resolutions are being held, Mr. President.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilwoman. Before we consider the bills and resolutions on both consent and resolutions and bills and regular session, we're going to have a public comment session. We now take a brief 5 to 10 minute recess to give our technology professionals some time to connect the speakers.
All right, we are back here on WURD. We're listening into Philadelphia City Council here on 96.1 FM, 900 AM, WURDradio.com, WURD TV, and WURD app. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back, and hopefully City Council will be back as well with public comment period. Let's take a break. We'll be right back.
This Black Music Month, as the city begins to reopen and we embrace the spirit of Juneteenth, WURD Radio celebrates Songs of Freedom.
Emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our mind. These lyrics from the incomparable Bob Marley were inspired by Marcus Garvey's The Work Has Been Done speech. Redemption, a tune birthed out of pain, a melody composed by historical events, and a ballad that crosses generations. Number 66 on the Rolling Stones' Greatest Hits of All Time chart, and one of the top 20 political songs ever. This song reminds us that liberation is a state of mind. This is truly a song of freedom. This is Black music.
This Black Music Month vignette was brought to you by Keystone First. Stand with WURD. This is the last week to start or renew your full WURD membership at the early bird discounted rate of just $75. Visit WURDradio.com or call 215-425-7875. Join today.
Get in and get seen at the Einstein Orthopedics Fracture Care Clinic. If you think you've broken a bone or have been told by your doctor that you have a fracture, the Einstein Fracture Care Clinic offers same-day, in-person, or telehealth appointments. We don't just give you peace of mind. Einstein Orthopedics provides answers when you need them. Visit einstein.edu/fracturecare to learn more. Woodmere Art Museum is proud to present an outdoor jazz and poetry concert to commemorate Juneteenth 2021. Celebrate the determination of the human spirit and pursuit of freedom, surrounded by art and nature on the museum's grounds, located at 9201 Germantown Avenue. The Arpeggio Jazz Ensemble and lyricist and author Nina Lirespect Ball will give voice to the power of creativity in meeting the social and political challenges of our times. For more information and to purchase tickets, visit woodmereartmuseum.org.
Reality Check with Charles Ellison right now on WURD Radio and WURDradio.com.
Okay, we're still waiting on Philadelphia City Council to return for public comment. They're getting everything geared up and ready to go for public comment period. So let's see what that brings us. So we're just waiting right now. 215-634-8065. Phone lines always remain open, particularly when we're on a break midstream through Philadelphia City Council Live like this. 215-634-8065, 866-361-0900 here on Reality Check. Highly recommend, if you are on Twitter, This is why Twitter is a good resource, you know, particularly as a news feed. I use it quite a bit as a news feed. It provides more sort of responsible news aggregation than what you get on Facebook. Highly recommend, if you are on Twitter, follow at Broad and Market, at Broad and Market. That's spelled out. And election lawyer and government relations expert Lauren Vitas, that's her Twitter handle. She follows live city council sessions, city council of the whole sessions in real time, and she tweets furiously. I mean, she tweets robustly, like every second, everything that we're hearing on council. And like, for example, those numbers that get railed off that you hear, go to at Broad Market and follow all of that. Highly recommend. Okay, Philadelphia City Council is back on.
Public comment must concern matters on the second reading and final passage calendars for possible action at a session of council. A speaker on any of those matters must sign up in order to testify. You must call 215-686-3406 by 3 p.m. the day before the session to sign up for public comment. When you call, we will take your name, phone number, the number of the legislative item you are commenting on, and whether you are in support of or against the legislation, and add you to the list. We will telephone each person on the list during the council session and invite them to our remote meeting. Under ideal circumstances, they will each have 3 minutes to speak. However, this time limit may vary from session to session. Today, because our very condensed schedule, the time limit will be 2 minutes. And in order to be fair to all those wishing to speak, I intend to hold faithfully to the established time limit. Once invited to the meeting and asked to begin your testimony, a timer will be started. We will monitor your remaining time throughout your testimony, and when there are 30 seconds remaining to your time, you will hear a bell. You will be reminded of this. Once your allotted time has passed, you will be asked to conclude your remarks. Shortly thereafter, you will be muted and disconnected from the remote meeting. I also reserve the right to limit the number of speakers where repetitious comments are being made on the same matter, and to limit the scope of testimony to only certain items on the agenda during the emergency, which could affect callbacks for public comment at the meeting. Please be aware that this public meeting is being recorded. Because the meeting is public, participants and viewers have no reasonable expectation of privacy. By continuing to be in the meeting, you are consenting to being recorded. With that being said, I will now ask our chief clerk to please read the name of our first speaker.
Yes, Madam Chair. The first speaker is Nicholas 6 King, commenting on 210-555.
Nicholas, are you connected?
I am connected.
Thank you, Nicholas. Just state your name for the record and proceed with your testimony.
Well, my name is professionally and personally 6 King, and that's SIXXKING.
Thank you. Please proceed.
First and foremost, I am just thrilled to be commenting on Tulsa. It is paramount that Philly is the leading voice for reparations for Tulsa. This is long overdue. And I am also the president of 6 Degrees Media and also the executive director of Project Tulsa, which will be a curated art piece directed here in the city of Philadelphia, because we have to be the narrative of what once was so tragic and still is for African Americans living in these United States of America. If we are truly committed to healing and building bridges and honoring what was promised to us by our forefathers, then we will have to smell and digest the stench of racism. We will have to own the hard truths before healing can even begin. My old Southern grandmother said it best. She said that ignorance can be cured, but stupidity is forever. And if we can build bridges, if we can educate people on not only what happened in Tulsa, but what continues to happen to African Americans today, we can eradicate racism as we know it, because racism cannot live in the same room as empathy. If my children are old enough to know and still experience racism, then white children are old enough to learn about it. So we are pushing educations and reparations for Tulsa. Tulsa was a blueprint for America, that when the playing field is leveled, when it is right, when it is fair, that African Americans can excel in a beautiful way. We see it all over the spectrum of American culture, from baseball to football.
Nicholas, unfortunately, we have a long list of members of the public scheduled to give comments. So I'm just going to have to ask this to be your last line. And if you have any additional comments, please feel free to submit them to the office of the president, and we will make sure that they become a part of the public record.
Well, thank you, and I will conclude my time right now. Thank you, Philadelphia. Thank you, Councilman Kenyatta Johnson, and thank you all for forming this for Tulsa and having a way that reparations are now, and they're overdue now, and we need them now. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicholas. Thank you so much for your time and comments today. Will the Chief Clerk please read the name of our next speaker?
Aaron Bauman, commenting on 210321.
Aaron, are you connected and with us today?
I am.
Thank you so very much. Just please state your name for the record and proceed with your comments.
Hello, my name is Aaron Bauman, and I'm a South Philadelphia homeowner of 15 years, a public school parent, a proud progressive, and a volunteer with Fifth Square. I'm testifying on Bill 210321 regarding fiscal 2022 capital budget. Right now, as I sit at my desk, I look out the window to see last week's uncollected trash and recycling. I see cars parked on my neighbor's crumbling sidewalks. I catch a glint of sunlight off the pile of broken glass left by a busted trash truck on a street that hasn't seen sweeping in decades. And I prepare paperwork to file an insurance claim against the hit-and-run driver who totaled my bicycle last week. I sit here reflecting on just a few of the ways that the city of Philadelphia has failed its civic responsibilities. This administration has failed to show leadership or vision with regard to making our transportation network safer for drivers, pedestrians, cyclists, wheelchair users, children, elderly, for all Philadelphians. During a global urban renaissance, this administration has failed to institute progressive solutions. Cities like Seattle, New York, Paris have stepped up to do their part in fighting climate change by rethinking their use of street space. Meanwhile, under the flimsiest guise of debunked 1980s trickle-down economics, Philadelphia City Council debates whether to give a massive tax break to parking garage tycoon campaign donors and land speculators, or just a big tax break. The city's addiction to subsidizing private cars is climate change denial and an ongoing embarrassment that makes us look not like the cradle of democracy, but a provincial backwater. City Council members, your efforts have not gone unnoticed. Your culpability is at least as great as the mayor's office. With few exceptions, district council members have opposed, delayed, or outright blocked efforts to combat dangerous driving, to design safer streets, to improve sidewalk conditions, to stop illegal driving and parking, and to create a safe bicycle network. The proposed budget is status quo on Philadelphia's abysmal track record, not only by failing to properly fund Vision Zero, but apparently considering traffic violence some foregone conclusion, some inevitable aspect of modern life. Philadelphia Streets Department has failed to operationalize Vision Zero principles and has failed to listen when Philadelphians beg and plead for safer infrastructure. To the 35% of Philadelphia households who don't own cars, this budget is an insult. And to Philadelphia households with vehicles, it's an abdication of City Council of any responsibility to support them in alternative transportation options.
Aaron,
instead of throwing money at dubious tax cuts.
Aaron, I'm going to have to ask you to conclude your comments. We have several Philadelphians who are interested in making comments today, and your time is up. But if you want to add anything that you could not get on the record today, please feel free to submit it to the Office of the President, Aaron, and we will make sure that all of your comments are included on the record.
Thank you for your time, Council Member.
Thank you so very much, Aaron. We appreciate your time and your comments. Mr. Chief Clerk, will you please call the next witness scheduled to give comments?
The next speaker is Marty Dietz, commenting on 210553.
Marty, are you with us and connected today?
I am, Council Member.
Thank you so very much, Marty. Just state your name for the record and proceed with your comments.
My name is Marty Dietz, and I'm a citizen of Philadelphia. Thank you, Council President and Council members, for the opportunity to testify. I have submitted full written testimony, and I'll use this time to summarize why I am in support of Resolution 210553, honoring and recognizing the service of Adam McGalligo to the City of Philadelphia. I've known Adam both personally and professionally for 15 years. I met Adam when we were both younger and trying to understand how we could impact climate in what was then called a warming climate, not yet a crisis. Adam was engineering the wind farms, and I was selling the output of the wind farms. His passion to have an impact on the climate and help communities always impressed me and reinvigorated my spirit to keep going. Through the years, he never faltered in his commitment and dedication to have an impact. Thus, and Adam and I found ourselves working again together in the City of Philadelphia's Energy Office. Adam had focused his global point of view to a local one because he believed that cities had to make meaningful impact in policy and act with intention to impact the climate. Federal and state policy were not going to have a local impact. Through this understanding, he was able to create the city's energy master plan, contribute to the city's GreenWorks vision, advance the creation of the Philadelphia Energy Authority, and maintain an energy purchasing strategy, all of which have long-term meaningful impacts for the citizens of Philadelphia. While Adam did not do these things alone, his commitment, dedication, tenacity, and vision ensured process was established, projects were completed, and education was provided, all of which is foundational for success. In conclusion, Adam's dedication to lowering the city's carbon footprint over the course of 10 years, he set a trajectory for the city of Philadelphia toward a more energy efficient, lower carbon city. His involvement with the Philadelphia Energy Authority has given guidance and consultation to strengthen the PEA's mission going forward. Although Adam's work may not have been highly publicized, it was highly impactful. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so very much, Marty, for your testimony. Mr. Chief Clerk, can you please call the name of our next speaker?
Drew Miller, commenting on 210389.
Drew, are you with us and connected?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, Drew, we can hear you now. Just state your name for the record and proceed with your comments.
Thank you. My name is Drew Miller. I'm a constituent, or state my name for the record. My name is Drew Miller. I'm a constituent in the 18th Ward. I'm a resident of Fishtown. I'm a Citizens Planning Institute graduate, and I'm a volunteer for the River Wards L&I Coalition. I'm a little conflicted on Bill 210389, so I'll try to hit my points quickly. I planned for 3 minutes. So first I want to thank you. It's important that City Council is taking time to attempt to address these concerns around construction and development for the community, and there's clearly an effort made in this bill. There's a clear lineage from the collapse that happened a little over 8 years ago at the Salvation Army at 22nd and Market to this bill, and it arguably meets the moment that could have prevented that tragedy 8 years ago, but I'm afraid there's some shortcomings that don't allow it to meet the moment today. For instance, this bill does not require the licensing of developers who are the equity owners of properties undergoing construction and who are the bosses of the contractors. It focuses primarily on the contractor, a small business owner, as the primary entity for accountability. It also doesn't require the disclosure of equity partners within the owner LLC of a property for proper accountability. This bill does not require a right of entry procedure to require proof of agreement with adjacent property owners prior to the start of the construction. This does a disservice not only to the adjacent property owners, but also for developers. Developers aren't given the expectation to know that this agreement needs to happen in advance for a smooth process. For them, once work begins, any stop of work costs more money, and stop of work is more likely when an adjacent neighbor's rights are violated with this type of negligence. Adjacent neighbors are also not given the opportunity for their rights to be addressed as part of this pre-construction, pre-excavation process. And this is continually problematic and creates unnecessary conflict and stopping a smooth process. In closing, please require a proof of a right of entry agreement prior to the start of construction. Also, please require a license for equity owners and developers so that L&I can provide proper accountability at the top within an LLC and business owner, not just for the small business contractor they hire to shoulder all the risks. If needed, please send this bill back to the committee to make these necessary changes.
Drew,
I have one more sentence.
Drew, excuse me, Drew. We have a long list of Philadelphians who are scheduled to give comments today. What I'm going to ask you to do is to please submit to the Office of the President your comments and anything that did not make it on the record today. We will make sure it is a part of the formal record for this body. So I want to thank you, Drew, for taking the time to be with us today and to let your voice be heard. I'm going to ask our Chief Clerk to please call the name of the next speaker to give comments.
Cameron Adanez, commenting on 210321.
Cameron,
hi,
are you here?
Speaking.
Okay, thank you, Cameron. Just state your name for the record and proceed with your comments.
All right. My name is Cameron Adamez, A-D-A-M-E-Z, speaking on the capital budget. If the city feels that Vision Zero is important and wants to prevent road injuries and deaths using the Safe Systems approach, then budget allocations to appropriate measures needs to be a priority. I'd like to commend the city for putting efforts towards traffic calming measures. However, traffic calming should be used as part of a network that prioritizes pedestrians and embraces multimodal transportation. For example, overhauling Roosevelt Boulevard with traffic calming infrastructure and high-frequency public transit and quality sidewalks would go a long way and provide a great example for future projects. Extending cycling infrastructure to create an actual bike network would safeguard cyclists and encourage people to use their cars less. The upcoming Chestnut and Walnut Street revisions should be overhauled to their entire length to meet Vision Zero goals and previous city goals. Also, I think that the budget is skewed towards departments that don't necessarily need it as opposed to departments that really need it. And I'd like to reiterate that principles in Vision Zero should be applied to all projects and not just sequestered to its own lane. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Cameron, for your comments. Mr. Chief Clerk, please call the name of our next speaker.
Stan Simpkins, commenting on 210554.
Stan, are you connected and with us today?
Yes, I am sitting in for Stan Simpkins. I'm Zamoria Brandon, Administrator for the Sickle Cell Disease Association, Philadelphia, Delaware Valley Chapter.
Thank you. Please proceed with your comments.
Okay, thank you so much. I want to acknowledge the Resolution 210-554 submitted by Councilmember Helen Gim, and all those who have supported Cindy Bass, Curtis Jones, Derek Green, Jamie Gauthier, and Kendra Brooks. So we are a community-based organization that was established in 1998. We will be 39 years old on July 2nd, providing supportive services across the lifespan for children, adolescents, adults, and families living with sickle cell disease. We are here today because we have lost a significant grant funding through the State Department of Health, and we are looking for consideration in the budget negotiations for City Council in order to continue providing these particular services. We are right now providing services to about 2,500 people in the Philadelphia, Delaware Valley County, and just imagine a family without transportation to get back and forth to the hospitals. Just imagine a child with sickle cell in foster care with no support. Just imagine a child in the school district of Philadelphia with a lack of understanding about how the disease impacts them. Just imagine Latino, Caribbean, and African and Caribbean immigrants coming to Philadelphia with sickle cell disease and not having any support. Just imagine advocacy when a person shows up in the emergency room seeking pain medication and they're accused of being a drug seeker. Just imagine the children that are on morphine, that are at Children's and St. Christopher's Hospital, that are dealing with that on a daily basis along with their families. You know, this is an important issue. Just imagine those sickle cell patients that are incarcerated, that are not able to receive the kind of pain medication that they need. This is where our organization...
Thank you so very much for your testimony. Why don't you just read your last sentence for us, and if there's anything in addition that you wanted to get on the record, please submit it to the office of the president, and we will make sure it gets on the record.
Okay, our last statement would be to acknowledge the work, the advocacy of Reverend Leroy Simmons, our former board chair, who passed away from complications of sickle cell disease at the age of 74, a fearless advocate for education and in the community, and a strong supporter of Council Member Helen Gim. We thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. Will the Chief Clerk please read the name of our next speaker?
John Scott, commenting on 210389.
John Scott, are you connected and ready to proceed?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Oh, yep,
WURD
we can
Radio,
hear you well.
96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia.
Thank you. My name is John Scott. Thank you, Madam Chair, members of council. I am speaking on Bill 210389. I am a committee person, a neighborhood advocate, and a longtime resident of Fishtown. Several years ago, we had a sudden collapse of an occupied row house in Fishtown as a result of an illegal excavation. Since then, I've been involved in a number of discussions with neighborhood groups, L&I officials, and state legislators to help find ways to prevent these tragedies and prevent the loss of our housing stock. This bill is a welcome step, and thank you for introducing it. Unfortunately, it does not go far enough. It does not protect the victims of unsafe construction practices, which are usually the neighboring property owners and often the elderly and those living in poverty. It does not thoroughly address issues with access and shared party walls. It does not expand insurance requirements to sufficiently protect neighbors. Finally, this bill takes too long to go into effect. Damage is being done now, and steps could be taken to implement some of these rules sooner than 18 months from now. In short, this bill makes excavating in an open field more expensive, but for high-risk excavations, it offers little to protect their neighbors. That isn't quite the outcome we were looking for. I would urge council to improve this bill before passing it. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony, John. We appreciate your being with us today. Mr. Chief Clerk, will you please read the name of our next speaker?
Emily Shapira, commenting on 210553.
Thank you. Emily, are you connected and ready to proceed?
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you, Emily. State your name for the record and proceed with your comments.
All right, my name is Emily Shapira. I'm the president and CEO of the Philadelphia Energy Authority. Good morning, Madam Chair and members of council. As you know, the Philadelphia Energy Authority works to build a robust, equitable, clean energy economy in Philadelphia. I'm here today to testify in support of Resolution 210553, honoring and recognizing Adam Magalico for his service to the city and to the Energy Authority. Adam has been a member of our board since 2017, and his contributions have been invaluable. With his leadership, we deepened our partnership with the city's Office of Sustainability, which led to a $12 million energy retrofit at the Philadelphia Museum of Art that saves the city over $750,000 a year in utility costs and recycles over 10 million gallons of water annually. Adam's leadership resulted in the city's first large-scale foray into renewable energy with a 700-acre, 70-megawatt solar array in Adams County, PA, that will provide 22% of the city's electricity and employ local solar trainees and local diverse contractors. Adam laid the groundwork for the LED street lighting replacement we are working on right now, which will have a positive impact on every neighborhood in the city while cutting our carbon footprint by 9% with just this one project. Adam approached his work at the city with an eye towards good government, taking best practices in energy procurement and developing systems and teams that ensure that Philadelphia will be able to weather ups and downs in an energy market, extreme weather events, and climate change without having to pay more for our energy use. In fact, the city's energy office has and continues to save the city millions of dollars in energy costs, all while lowering greenhouse gas emissions. As Adam leaves our board, I'm extremely grateful to Councilmember Gilmore Richardson and the members of this council for allowing us the opportunity to formally recognize and thank Adam for his tireless commitment to our work and our city. Adam, on behalf of the Energy Authority and our board, thank you, we'll miss you, and we wish you all the best. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Emily, for your comments today, and thank you for your work on behalf of the city of Philadelphia. Mr. Chief Clerk, can you please call the name of our next speaker to give comments?
There are no other speakers, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilwoman. Thank you for filling in. That concludes our public comment session for today. We will now consider today's resolution consent agenda. I would ask Mr. Decker to read the titles of all the resolutions on the consent agenda. After each title is read, any member may object to the conclusion of the resolution on the resolution consent agenda. Upon such an objection, without debate, the resolution will be immediately removed from the resolution consent agenda and placed on today's regular final passage calendar. Mr. Decker, can you please now read the titles of the resolutions on the resolution consent agenda?
Yes, Mr. President. Resolution number 210551, entitled a resolution confirming the appointment of Matthew Stitt to the board of the Philadelphia Energy Authority to serve in the term ending January 1, 2024. And resolution number 210552, entitled a resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority to execute and deliver to the Philadelphia Land Bank deeds conveying title to certain properties located in the 5th Councilmanic District. And resolution number 210553, entitled a resolution honoring and recognizing Adam Agalapo for his service to the city of Philadelphia. And resolution number 210554, entitled a resolution urging the Pennsylvania Department of Public Health to restore funding to the Philadelphia Delaware Valley chapter of the Sickle Cell Disease Association of America and recognizing the SCDAA PDVC's nearly 39-year dedication to providing culturally competent services and to raising awareness of the serious condition of sickle cell disease. And resolution number 210556, entitled a resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 1931 through 33, 1939, 1943 North Lawrence Street, 431, 433, 434, 438, 443 Arlington Street, 415, 417, 418, 424 West Norris Street, 1707 North Oriana Street, and 2914, 2916 through 2924, and 2926 North 2nd Street, located in the 7th Councilmanic District. And resolution number 210557, entitled a resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 1908 North Lithgow Street and 2547 North Mutter Street, located in the 7th Councilmanic District. And resolution number 210558, entitled a resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 1611 through 1641 Rouen Street, located in the 7th Councilmanic District. And resolution number 210559, entitled a resolution recognizing and honoring the staff of the Philadelphia Department of Parks and Recreation for their dedicated service as essential workers throughout the COVID-19 pandemic. And resolution number 210561, entitled a resolution authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to execute and deliver to the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority deeds conveying fee simple title to certain city-owned lots and pieces of ground with the buildings and improvements thereon, situated in the 3rd Councilmanic District. And resolution number 210563, entitled a resolution celebrating the life and honoring the memory of Sabur Muhammad. And resolution number 210564, entitled a resolution honoring and congratulating 19-year-old R&B singer and Philadelphia native Cam Anthony for winning season 20 of The Voice, $100,000, and a recording contract with Universal Music Group. And resolution number 210565, entitled a resolution authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to execute and deliver to the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority deeds conveying fee simple title to 2553 Kern Street in the 1st Councilmanic District. And resolution number 210566, entitled a resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 1921 South 6th Street and 2544 South 5th Street, located in the 1st Councilmanic District. And resolution number 210567, entitled a resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 2201 East Tioga Street, located in the 1st Councilmanic District. And resolution number 210517, entitled a resolution reappointing Jeffrey B. Goldstone to the Board of Directors of the City Avenue Special Services District.
Chair again recognizes Councilwoman Parker for a motion to adopt each of the resolutions on the resolution consent agenda.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the adoption of each of the resolutions on the resolution consent agenda.
Second.
Thank you. It has been moved and seconded that each of the resolutions on the resolution consent agenda be adopted. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it. Each of the resolutions on the resolution consent agenda has been adopted. We will now consider today's bill consent agenda. I will ask the clerk to read the titles of all the bills on the consent agenda. After each title is read, any member may object to the inclusion of the bill on the consent agenda. Upon such an objection, without debate, the bill will be immediately removed from the consent agenda and placed on our regular final passage calendar. Mr. Decker, please now read the titles of the bills on the consent agenda.
Bill number 210332A, entitled an ordinance amending Title 9 of the Philadelphia Code by amending Section 9203 entitled Street Vendors by prohibiting street vending on certain portions of East Passyunk Avenue and surrounding area. And Bill number 210476, entitled an ordinance approving the amendment to the fiscal year 2021 capital budget, providing for expenditures for the capital purposes of the Philadelphia Gas Works, including the supplying of funds in connection therewith, subject to certain constraints and conditions, and acknowledging the receipt of the revised forecast of capital budgets for fiscal years 2022 through 2026. And Bill number 210477, entitled an ordinance approving the fiscal year 2022 capital budget, providing for expenditures for the capital purposes of the Philadelphia Gas Works, including the supplying of funds in connection therewith, subject to certain constraints and conditions, and acknowledging receipt of the revised forecast of capital budgets for fiscal years 2023 through 2027. And Bill number 200662, entitled an ordinance authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to enter into a sublease agreement with the Philadelphia Municipal Authority for use by the city of a portion of the premises located at 11311 Roosevelt Boulevard. And Bill number 200677, entitled an ordinance authorizing the Department of Public Property to acquire on behalf of the city an easement in the area bounded by Chestnut Street, 12th Street, Market Street, and 11th Street. And Bill number 210076, entitled an ordinance authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to convey to the Philadelphia Authority for Industrial Development a parcel of land situated at 2401 Chestnut Street for further conveyance, and authorizing the plotting upon City Plan number 307 of a right-of-way for bridge repair, maintenance, and/or reconstruction purposes, and for stormwater, sewer, and drainage purposes. And Bill number 210248, entitled an ordinance authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to enter into a lease agreement with St. Agnes MOB for use by the city of a portion of the premises located at 1930 South Broad Street. And Bill number 210281, entitled an ordinance authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to acquire fee simple title or a lesser real estate interest from Pennsylvania Department of Transportation to all or a portion of a parcel or parcels of land bordered by Richmond Street to the north-northwest, Wheat Chief to the east-northeast, I-95 to the west, and the northeast treatment plant to the south-southeast, for water treatment or supply purposes or other purposes. And Bill number 210282, entitled an ordinance authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to acquire fee simple title or a lesser interest in real estate by purchase, dedication, donation, condemnation, agreement in lieu of condemnation or otherwise, in parcels of land along the Delaware River and the Tacony-Holmesburg section of the Delaware River Trail. And Bill number 210293, entitled an ordinance authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to enter into a sublease agreement with the Chestnut Street Realty Limited Partnership for use by the city of a portion of the premises located at 1327 through 29 Chestnut Street. And Bill number 210418, entitled an ordinance authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to convey to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania all or a portion of a parcel or parcels of land in and about the area bounded by Kingston Street, I-95 East Fanagler Street, and Bass Street. And Bill number 210419, entitled an ordinance authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to grant to the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation a temporary construction easement on a portion of the parcel or parcels of land in and about the area bounded by Richmond Street, East Butler Street, I-95, and Castor Avenue, commonly known as 3721 Richmond Street. And Bill number 210424, entitled an ordinance authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to enter into a sublease agreement with the Philadelphia Authority for Industrial Development for use by the city of a portion of the premises located at 1101 Market Street. And Bill number 210444, entitled an ordinance authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property on behalf of the city to acquire fee simple title or lesser interest in real estate by purchase, dedication, donation, condemnation, agreement in lieu of condemnation or otherwise, in parcels of land connecting Tacony Street to the Frankfurt Arsenal boat launch for public recreational purposes. And Bill number 210450, entitled an ordinance authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to enter into an amendment to a lease agreement with Southeastern Pennsylvania Transportation Authority for use by the city of a portion of the premises located at 1234 Market Street. And Bill number 210117, entitled an ordinance amending Chapter 93700 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Bouncers, by revising definitions of covered establishments and personnel. And Bill number 210388, entitled an ordinance amending Chapter 91000 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Trades, to modify licensing and conduct requirements applicable to contractors. And Bill number 210389, entitled an ordinance amending Title 4 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled the Philadelphia Building Construction and Occupancy Code, and Title 9 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Regulation of Businesses, Trades, and Professions, to revise provisions relating to excavation work and work impacting historic structures, create an excavation contractor license, and institute additional safeguards for property adjoining certain construction activities. And Bill number 210481, entitled an ordinance amending Chapter 9600 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Service and Other Businesses, to modify the requirements to operate a self-service laundry. Bill number 210510, entitled an ordinance amending Chapter 6200 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Preventative Medicine, by adding a new section offering gift certificates to citizens and property owners of Philadelphia who have received vaccinations for COVID-19 in order to incentivize immunizations against the disease. And Bill number 210511, entitled an ordinance amending Chapter 6200 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Preventative Medicine, adding a new section offering vouchers for rebates on city gas and water charges to citizens and property owners of Philadelphia who receive vaccinations for COVID-19 in order to incentivize immunizations against the disease, all under certain terms and conditions.
Thank you, Mr. Decker. These bills having been read on 2 different days, the question for each bill now is, shall the bill pass finally? Mr. Decker call the roll, and upon being called, each council member shall vote aye on each of the bills, nay on each of the bills, or indicate those bills for which the member is voting aye and those bills for which the member is voting nay. Mr. Decker, call the roll.
Councilwoman Bass.
Aye on all bills.
Councilwoman Brooks.
Aye on all bills.
Councilman Dom.
Aye on all bills.
Councilwoman Gautier.
Aye on all bills.
Councilwoman Gilmore Richardson.
Aye on all bills.
Councilman Green.
Aye on all bills.
Councilwoman Gim.
Aye on all bills.
Councilman Heenan.
Aye on all bills.
Councilman Johnson.
Aye on all bills.
Councilman Jones.
Aye on all bills.
Councilman O.
Aye on all bills.
Councilman O'Neill.
Aye on all bills.
Councilwoman Parker.
Aye on all bills.
Councilwoman Quinones Sanchez.
Aye on all bills.
Councilman Squilla.
Aye on all bills.
Councilman Thomas.
Aye on all bills. Sorry about that. Aye on all bills.
Council President Clark.
Aye on all bills. Majority of all members having voted in the affirmative for each of the bills on the consent agenda are passed. We will now consider the bills and resolutions on the regular second reading and final passage calendar. Mr. Decker, please read the title of resolution number 210555.
A resolution urging Congress to pursue reconciliation and reparations regarding the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre and the lasting devastation it caused.
Chair recognizes Councilman Johnson.
Thank you, Council President. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, ayes have it. Resolution is adopted. Mr. Decker, please read the title of resolution number 210562.
A resolution recognizing Saturday, June 19, 2021 as Juneteenth Independence Day in the city of Philadelphia in honor of June 19, 1865, the day when enslaved black people were finally freed in the United States of America, declaring the annual Juneteenth Philly Festival and Johnson House Historic Site Festival as Philadelphia's official Juneteenth celebrations, and advocating for the city of Philadelphia to become the official home of the National Juneteenth Independence Day celebration.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Gauthier for a motion on the resolution.
Thank you, Council President. Can I make comments before I do that?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I wanted to take a moment to discuss the resolution that I'm co-introducing today with Councilmember Bass, which declares West Philly's Juneteenth Philly Festival and Germantown's Johnson House Historic Site Festival as Philadelphia's official Juneteenth celebrations and advocates for our city to become the official home of the National Juneteenth Independence Day celebration. I want to thank Councilmember Bass for her partnership and for co-introducing this resolution. Juneteenth commemorates the day in 1865 when the final enslaved Black Americans were finally notified that they were free, more than 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation took effect. Juneteenth is just as significant as Independence Day in this country because it's the day when all Americans could truly and finally call themselves free citizens of this nation. For hundreds of years, we as a country have publicly recognized holidays that honor the history, government, and traditions of the United States. And it's about time that Juneteenth joined that list of official celebrations. On Tuesday, the U.S. Senate unanimously passed a bill to make Juneteenth a federal holiday. I'm grateful that this brings our country one step closer to celebrating this day in a way that reflects its deep importance in our history. And since Philadelphia is known as the birthplace of American freedom and home to one of the most vibrant Black communities in the entire country, I truly can't imagine a better place to honor this major milestone. And this is why we are calling for Philly to be considered the official home of a national Juneteenth celebration. Here in Philly, we host some of the largest Juneteenth events in the country. In particular, the Juneteenth Philly celebration on 52nd Street in the heart of the 3rd District, and the Johnson House Festival in Germantown in Councilmember Cindy Bass's district. Thank you so much to everyone who works so hard each year on these events, which bring Black Philadelphians together to have fun and to celebrate our history. There is so much excitement in store for this weekend, from art exhibits to parade, floats, food, vendors, and so much more. And I encourage everyone to take part in this weekend celebrations. And before I close, I just want to take a moment to thank Councilmember Kenyatta Johnson for all of his hard work and advocacy locally to get recognition of this holiday that is so important to so many of us. Thank you so much, and I hope to see all of you in West Philly this weekend. And with that, Council President, I move for the adoption of the resolution.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and second that the resolution be adopted. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted. Mr. Decker, please read the title of 210-568.
A resolution proposing the establishment of the Philadelphia Promise Trust Fund.
Chair recognizes Councilwoman Bass for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption of this resolution.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? Ayes have it. That resolution has been adopted. Mr. Decker, please read the title of 200079.
A resolution proposing an amendment to the Philadelphia Home Rule Charter to create the Department of Fleet Services to transfer the functions of certain city agencies with respect to motor vehicles to the newly created department, and to provide for additional duties of the department, and providing for the submission of the amendment to the electors of Philadelphia.
Chair recognizes Councilwoman Park for a motion on the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. President. On your behalf, I move for the adoption of the resolution.
Can I I need a second.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded that the resolution be adopted. Because resolution number 20079 is an amendment to the Home Rule Charter, it requires 2/3 vote. Therefore, the question is, shall this resolution be adopted? Mr. Decker, please call the roll.
Councilwoman Bass.
Aye.
Councilwoman Brooks.
Aye.
Councilman Dom.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gauthier.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gilmore Richardson.
Aye.
Councilman Green.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gim.
Aye.
Councilman Heenan.
Aye.
Councilman Johnson.
Aye.
Councilman Jones.
Aye.
Councilman O.
Aye.
Councilman O'Neill.
Aye.
Councilwoman Parker.
Aye.
Councilwoman Quinones Sanchez.
Aye.
Councilman Squilla.
Aye.
Councilman Thomas.
Aye.
Council President Clark.
Aye. 2/3 of all members of the council having voted in the affirmative, resolution number 20079 has been adopted. Mr. Decker, please read the title of resolution number 210514.
A resolution proposing an amendment to the Philadelphia Home Rule Charter to revise provisions related to the manner of selection from eligible lists for vacancies and promotions in the civil service system, and providing for the submission of the amendment to the electors of Philadelphia.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Parker for a motion on the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
Second.
It's been moved in second that the resolution be adopted. Because resolution number 210514 is an amendment to the Home Rule Charter, it requires 2/3 vote. Therefore, the question is, shall this resolution be adopted? Mr. Decker, call the roll.
Councilwoman Bass.
Aye.
Councilwoman Brooks.
Aye.
Councilman Dom.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gauthier.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gilmore Richardson.
Aye.
Councilman Green.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gim.
Aye.
Councilman Heenan.
Aye.
Councilman Johnson.
Aye.
Councilman Jones.
Aye.
Councilman O.
Aye.
Councilman O'Neill.
Aye.
Councilwoman Parker.
Aye.
Councilwoman Quinones Sanchez.
Aye.
Councilman Squilla.
Aye.
Councilman Thomas.
Aye.
President Clark.
Aye. 2/3 of all members of council having voted in the affirmative, resolution number 210514 has been adopted. Mr. Decker, please read the title of resolution number 210524.
A resolution proposing an amendment to the Philadelphia Home Rule Charter, providing for a mandatory annual appropriation for the Housing Trust Fund.
Chair recognizes Councilman Green for a motion on the resolution.
Thank you, Council President. This is an issue that we're all very familiar with in our city, the issue of affordable housing. This has been a challenge for some time. I want to thank the leadership of our colleague, Councilmember Maria Quino Sanchez, for her work in helping to establish this initiative. But we also know that there was a commitment made to provide dollars for the Housing Trust Fund. I do understand the concerns the administration has raised regarding the challenges that we have, but we also have received additional resources from the American Rescue Plan. I delayed this legislation last year because of those concerns, but with the additional dollars that we've received, I believe we should move forward with this commitment. It's unfortunate that we're in this position that we are in now, but I believe it's something that is important for the citizens of our city moving forward to do all that we can, not only to create more affordable housing units in the city of Philadelphia, but also to preserve as many housing units in the city of Philadelphia as well. I believe the Housing Trust Fund is a great vehicle for that, and also I'm cognizant of the concerns that we may have in the future regarding financial challenges that the city may have. And that's why this legislation, this resolution, and the companion bill was done in a way that provides our finance director the ability to certify if there's a challenge or concern going forward with this annual appropriation of dollars. I think it's an important issue that goes along with a lot of the issues we have been talking about this budget process during this year and also last year out of all the unrest in our city. In this regard, I believe that we should move forward with this resolution and the companion bill to provide the resources that are needed to make sure that we do all that we can to make people in the city of Philadelphia have an affordable place to live and be able to stay in their homes. And with that, I move for the adoption of the resolution.
Second.
Thank you. It has been moved and second that the resolution be adopted because resolution number 210524 is an amendment to the home rule charter. It requires 2/3 vote. Therefore, the question is, shall this resolution be adopted? Mr. Decker, call the roll.
Councilwoman Bass.
Aye.
Councilwoman Brooks.
Aye.
Councilman Dom.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gautier.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gilmore Richardson.
Aye.
Councilman Green.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gim.
Aye.
Councilman Heenan.
Aye.
Councilman Johnson.
Aye.
Councilman Jones.
Aye.
Councilman O.
Aye.
O'Neill.
Aye.
Councilwoman Parker.
Aye.
Councilwoman Quinones Sanchez.
Aye.
Councilman Squilla.
Aye.
Councilman Thomas.
Aye.
Council President Clark.
Aye. 2/3 of all members of council have been voting in the affirmative. Resolution number 210524 has been adopted. Mr. Decker, please read the title of bill number 210421.
An ordinance amending section 17107 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Contractors, Labor Management Relationships to create a new classification of covered airport service employees to receive prevailing wages, to extend prevailing wage requirements to third-party contracts with city-related agencies, lessees and sublessees of the city, recipients of city financial assistance, and purchasers of city property, to further provide for administration and enforcement, including reporting on contractor compliance with prevailing wage requirements, and to provide for a civil action to remedy violations.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Councilman Johnson for the amendment to bill number 210421.
Thank you, Council President. Before I offer the amendment, I just have a couple remarks that I would like to make.
Please do.
The late civil rights leader, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said the following: cowardice asked the question, is it safe? Expediency asked the question, is it politic? Vanity asked the question, is it popular? But conscience asked the question, is it right? And there comes a time one must take a position that is neither safe, nor politic, nor popular, but one must take it because one's conscience tells one that it is right. Back in May, I introduced legislation in City Council that would ensure that contracted workers at Philadelphia International Airport have family-sustaining wages, affordable health care, and paid sick leave. The ordinance known as the PHL Prevailing Wage Bill will provide specific classification of airport workers to receive up to $15.06 per hour, an additional $4.54 hourly wage supplement to obtain health insurance and up to 56 hours of paid sick leave annually, among other benefits. The bill will cover baggage and freight handlers and inspectors, cabin cleaners, passenger service agents, skycaps, wheelchair attendants, retail food and beverage service workers, food preparation workers, and other airport service workers employed by an airline operating under a lease with the City of Philadelphia or by a contractor for such an airline. Since I introduced the bill, I have heard from small businesses and other stakeholders, and I will be introducing an amendment to address some of those issues. First, the definition in the amendment will cover workers to expand included parking facility workers. Second, the bill will provide protections and phase in over a 2-year period covering restaurant and retail workers as relates to health care benefits. I also have a commitment to work in partnership with the CEO of the Philadelphia International Airport to make sure there are additional relief measures that we're going to be exploring to support small businesses at the Philadelphia International Airport. I plan on bringing up this amended bill for final vote during the June 24th City Council session. As the council person that represents the Philadelphia International Airport, I want to see it thrive and prosper for decades to come. Voting to approve this legislation is the right thing to do, and we should stand on the right side of history for the residents of Philadelphia. The rights of the workers need to be respected in the city of Philadelphia, but most importantly, the black and brown workers that are responsible for moving the Philadelphia International Airport forward. The workers who make up the airport, one of the biggest and most profitable airports in the country, shouldn't have to worry that they could be bankrupt at any time by illness or injury for lack of health care. Philadelphia International Airport workers who are overwhelmingly African American are paid as little as $12.40 per hour and often without health care. These workers have difficulty social distancing from the traveling public and have worked even while exposed to COVID-19. Now the pandemic is thankfully coming to an end and more people are flying into and out of Philadelphia International Airport on a daily basis. These workers will still be in the front lines with the traveling public. A recent study showed that as residents of one of America's poorest cities, and I'm going to say it again, a recent study showed that as residents of one of America's poorest cities, Philadelphia essential workers were 55% more likely to contract COVID-19 than any other workers in Philadelphia. During the pandemic, airlines like American Airlines have received billions of dollars in federal aid. According to an article in the April 30th edition of Aviation Pro's website, American Airlines has taken about $13 billion in grants through 3 federal stimulus programs and another $10 billion in loans. To put the $13 billion in grants American Airlines has received in perspective, we will operate the city of Philadelphia's entire operating budget next year on $5.2 billion. Philadelphia is the poorest big city in America with just under 30% of all residents living at or below the poverty line. The current federal poverty line guidelines indicate that a family of 3 should be able to survive on just $22,000 per year, which we all know is totally impossible. If the airline industry can get billions of dollars in subsidies during the pandemic, then we as councilmen can be on the right side of history and vote for a bill that will help Philadelphians get more money in their pockets to feed their families, but most importantly, affordable health care. For the record, we all know that without past action from members of City Council, the airline industry and their subcontracting employees will not have willingly protected essential frontline workers by offering them better wages, health care, or paid sick leave. This council in the city of Philadelphia must act to protect these workers who risk their lives day in and day out to make sure that we're moving forward with the city of Philadelphia International Airport. Again, as Dr. King said, there comes a time when one must take a position that is neither safe nor politic nor popular, but one must take it because one conscience tells one that is the right thing to do. I want to personally thank the following members of City Council for signing this legislation. Council President Darrell Clark, Councilmember Mark Squilla, Councilmember Jamie Gardier, Councilman Curtis Jones, Councilman Bobby Heenan, Councilwoman Maria Kiona Sanchez, Councilwoman Cindy Bass, Councilwoman Sherelle Parker, Councilmember Kendra Brooks, Councilmember Kathleen Gilmore Richardson, Councilmember Helen Gim, and Councilman Isaiah Thomas. And also, I just want to note for the record, I have a letter from Congress, the Aviation Committee, that has supported the workers that work at the Philadelphia International Airport with a letter signed to American Airlines, and I'm just going to give you a brief summary of what it says. We were distressed to learn that American Airlines is pushing for a delay in the consideration of legislation in the Philadelphia City Council that will provide much-needed relief to thousands of airport service workers. Recognizing that the impact of COVID-19 crisis on airlines, Congress has taken extraordinary steps to stabilize the industry in the form of billions of dollars in aid. Now that we're on the path to recovery, airport service workers must not face any undue delay in equitable wage increases. Many of the airport service workers who would benefit from the proposed Philadelphia legislation are our constituents. These essential workers were on the front line of COVID-19 pandemic, keeping airports running and facilitating delivery of critical supplies for all of us during the most dangerous days of the pandemic. Those workers, the majority of whom are Black and brown, deserve fair wages and benefits. We believe this legislation before the Philadelphia City Council would benefit so many airport service workers, and is signed by the following: Congressman Connor Lamb, Vice Chair of the Aviation Subcommittee; Brian Fitzpatrick, Member of Congress; Matt Cartwright, Member of Congress; Susan Wild, Member of Congress; Christy Houlihan, Member of Congress; Brendan F. Boyle, Member of Congress; Mike Dole, Member of Congress; Madeline Dean, Member of Congress; Mary Gay Scanlon, Member of Congress; and Dwight Evans, Member of Congress. Thank you, Council President. At this time, I would like to offer an amendment to Bill number 210421. A copy of the amendment has been circulated to all members of Council. I move for the adoption of the amendment.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor of the motion will signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Ayes have it. And bill number 210421 has been amended. Bill number 210421 as amended will be placed on the final passage calendar at our next session of Council. Mr. Decker, please read the title of bill number 210508.
An ordinance authorizing the city treasurer on behalf of the city to enter into a provider agreement with Citizens Bank of Pennsylvania for provision of payroll banking services to the city.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Bass for an amendment to bill number 210508.
Thank you, Mr. President and colleagues. And I want to just follow up on Councilman Kenyatta Johnson and this too being an issue of fairness and equity for underserved citizens in the city of Philadelphia. The last year has really changed everything and everyone, and I think for the most part, it's a good thing. Glaring inequities were exposed, and we've decided as a city that we cannot and will not go backwards, particularly for underserved communities. They deserve more, and those of us in positions to do so must always, without hesitation, act in their interests. We are their last line of defense. We are the fighters for those who aren't in the ring, and we are required to speak truth to power on their behalf always. Thus, I am disappointed that we are at this point with Citizens Bank, which holds deposits and payroll for the city of Philadelphia. We have before us an amendment to a bill to extend the city's existing contract with Citizens for payroll services from 1 year to 6 months, while we examine our relationship with them and their relationship to our neighborhoods, particularly those that are struggling financially.
Yeah. Out all of it. We're giving out food.
Somebody needs to go on mute.
In my district.
Please go on mute. Thank you. Councilwoman.
Thank you. The idea that they would close a branch that is so desperately needed by those without the financial savvy or literacy of other neighborhoods, while leaving an ATM that charges $3.50 for transactions, which I may note is higher than check cashing agency rates in many cases. This is unacceptable. To be clear, we did receive correspondence from citizens stating that they'd be willing to leave the ATM. They would donate a parcel of real estate to the community, which is landlocked and therefore unusable. And they would also do some financial empowerment training, which is currently ongoing from, as I understand, from Citizens and other institutions in the community. I appreciate the attention that Dan Fitzpatrick has given this matter by visiting North 20th Street's location and reaching out by phone. But we need tangibles. We as a society need to do more for one another, and this is the opportunity to do so. How can we continue to offer contracts while leaving communities behind and services from both the public and private sectors? The bottom line is that we can't. I urge my colleagues to stand up for North Philadelphia and therefore all of Philadelphia in supporting this amendment and taking a closer look at how we value a contract issued by the city and the corresponding value of our constituents. I thank you for your support. And now, Mr. President, I would like to offer an amendment to Bill number 210508. A copy of this amendment has been circulated to all members of council, and I move for the adoption of the amendment.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor of the motion will signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it, and bill number 210508 has been amended. Bill number 210508 as amended will be placed on the final passage calendar for the next session of council. Mr. Decker, please read the title of bills number 200075.
An ordinance providing for the submission of the qualified electors of the city of Philadelphia, the proposal set forth in the resolution approved by council, proposing an amendment to the Philadelphia onWURD Charter to provide for the creation of a Department of Fleet Services, to provide for the powers and duties of such department, and to otherwise provide for the incorporation of the department into the city government, and authorizing the appropriate officers to publish notice and make arrangements for the special election.
Thank you. This bill having been read on 2 different days, the question now is, shall the bill pass finally? Mr. Decker, call the roll.
Councilwoman Bass.
Councilwoman. Go ahead, Mr. Decker, we'll come back.
Councilwoman Brooks.
Aye.
Councilman Dom.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gautier.
Apologize, Councilwoman Bass. Aye.
Okay. Let the record reflect Councilwoman Bass is the aye.
Councilwoman Gautier.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gilmore Richardson.
Aye.
Councilman Green.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gim.
Aye.
Councilman Heenan.
Aye.
Councilman Johnson.
Aye.
Councilman Jones.
Aye.
Councilman O.
Aye.
Councilman O'Neill.
Aye.
Councilwoman Parker.
Aye.
Councilwoman Quinones Sanchez.
Aye.
Councilman Squilla.
Aye.
Councilman Thomas.
Aye.
Council President Clark.
Aye. Ayes are 17 and nays are 0. Majority of all members having voted in affirmative, the bill passes. Mr. Decker, please read the title of bill number 21029.
An ordinance amending Chapter 91100 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Fair Practices Ordinance, Protections Against Unlawful Discrimination, to require the use and disclosure of uniform screening criteria for rental housing and certain related disclosures to prospective rental housing applicants, and to provide that failure to provide such disclosures may be evidence of other unlawful housing and real property practices.
Thank you. I believe Councilman Dom
Yes.
had a little inquiries. Chair recognizes Councilman Dom.
Thank you, Council President. I'd like to just ask the bill sponsor, Councilmember Brooks, a few clarifying questions that I think will help the general public understand the features of this bill. And I want to say thank you to Councilmember Brooks for speaking with me yesterday and late in the day. And I also want to thank Community Legal Services for their work on these bills. So first, let me say, typically landlords make a determination on a tenant based on 2 major factors: the ability to pay and the willingness to pay. The ability to pay is the income verification, and the willingness to pay is the credit report. So I'd like to clarify the willingness to pay aspect for everyone. This bill does not prohibit a landlord from reviewing a credit report, but stipulates that the score cannot be used as the sole basis for rejecting an application. I just want to make sure that's correct, Councilmember Brooks.
You're absolutely right, Councilmember Dom.
And this bill also, Councilmember Brooks, would allow a landlord to review the entire credit report, looking beyond the score, and use various line items as an additional reason to approve or reject an applicant. Would that be correct?
You're correct.
And for those listening, that means a landlord needs to look beyond the score and, based on previous behaviors in the full report, make a determination on the potential tenant's willingness to pay. So I want to thank you, Councilmember Brooks, and thank you, Council President. I will be voting yes on these bills. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Brooks for an amendment to bill number 210329.
Thank you, Council President. I would like to offer an amendment to Bill number 210329. A copy of the amendment has been circulated to all members of council, and I move for the adoption of this amendment.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor of said amendment, say aye.
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 Those opposed, ayes have it. Bill number 210329 has been amended. Bill number 210329 as amended will be placed on the final passage calendar at our next session of council. Councilman Damas, the first question, the question that you just asked.
I'm all good. I'm good, Council President.
30, right? Okay.
Yeah,
Just want to make sure. Mr. Decker, please read the title of Bill number 210330.
An ordinance amending Chapter 9800 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Landlord and Tenant by adding a new section 9810 entitled Prospective Tenant Screening Practices to regulate the application and selection process for housing units.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Brooks. One amendment to Bill number 210330.
Thank you, Council President. I would like to offer an amendment to Bill number 210330. A copy of the amendment has been circulated to all members of council, and I move for the adoption of this amendment.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. And Bill number 210330 has been amended. Bill number 210330 as amended will be placed on our final passage calendar at the next session of council. Mr. Decker, please read the title of Bill number 210501.
An ordinance providing for the submission to the qualified electors of the City of Philadelphia of an amendment to the Philadelphia Home Rule Charter to revise provisions related to the manner and selection from eligible lists for vacancies and promotions in the civil service system, as approved by resolution of the City Council, fixing the date of a special election for such purpose, prescribing the form of ballot question to be voted on, and authorizing the appropriate officers to publish notice to make arrangements for the special election.
Thank you. This bill has been read on 2 different days. The question now, shall the bill pass finally? Mr. Decker, call the roll.
Councilwoman Bass.
Aye.
Councilwoman Brooks.
Aye.
Councilman Dom.
Aye.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gilmore Richardson.
Aye.
Councilman Green.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gim.
Aye.
Councilman Heenan.
Aye.
Councilman Johnson.
Aye.
Councilman Jones.
Aye.
Councilman O.
Aye.
Councilman O'Neill.
Aye.
Councilwoman Parker.
Aye.
Councilwoman Guerrero Sanchez.
Aye.
Councilman Squilla.
Aye.
Councilman Thomas.
Aye.
Council President Clark.
Aye. The ayes are 17 and nays are 0. Majority of all members having voted in the affirmative passes. Mr. Decker, please read the title of Bill number 210507.
An ordinance providing for the submission to the qualified electors of the City of Philadelphia of an amendment to the Philadelphia Home Rule Charter to provide for a mandatory annual appropriation for the Housing Trust Fund as approved by resolution of the City Council, fixing the date of a special election for such purpose, prescribing the form of ballot question to be voted on, and authorizing the appropriate officers to publish notice and make arrangements for the special election.
Thank you. This bill has been read on 2 different days. The question now, shall the bill pass finally? Mr. Decker, call the roll.
Councilwoman Bass.
Aye.
Councilwoman Brooks.
Aye.
Councilman Dom.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gauthier.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gilmore Richardson.
Aye.
Councilman Green.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gim.
Aye.
Councilman Heenan.
Aye.
Councilman Johnson.
Aye.
Councilman Jones.
Aye.
Councilman O.
Aye.
Councilman O'Neill.
Aye.
Councilwoman Parker.
Aye.
Councilwoman Guerrero Sanchez.
Aye.
Councilman Squilla.
Aye.
Councilman Thomas.
Aye.
Council President Clark.
Aye. Ayes are 17, nays are 0. Majority of all members present voting in the affirmative. The bill passes. Mr. Decker, you have any additional resolution?
I do, Mr. President, but before reading that, we have an additional bill that was called up from the calendar. Bill number 210475, the con plan.
Please read the title.
Bill number 210475, entitled an ordinance authorizing the Director of Planning and Development on behalf of the city to file applications with the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development for a community development block grant, to file applications to participate in the Home Investment Partnership Program and the Emergency Solutions Grant Program, and to apply for housing opportunities with persons with AIDS grant.
Thank you. This bill having been read on 2 different days, the question now, shall the bill pass finally? Mr. Decker, call the roll.
Councilwoman Bass.
Aye.
Councilwoman Brooks.
Aye.
Councilman Dom.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gautier.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gilmore Richardson.
Aye.
Councilman Green.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gim.
Aye.
Councilman Heenan.
Aye.
Councilman Johnson.
Aye.
Councilman Jones.
Aye.
Councilman O.
Aye.
Councilman O'Neill.
Aye.
Councilwoman Parker.
Aye.
Councilwoman Guillermo Sanchez.
Aye.
Councilman Squilla.
Aye.
Councilman Thomas.
Aye.
Council President Clark.
Aye. Ayes 17 and nays 0. Majority of all members voting in the affirmative. Bill passes.
Mr. President, we have a resolution honoring the life and legacy of former Council President Anna Verna, a political trailblazer and beloved public servant, on the occasion of her passing, introduced by Councilman Johnson.
Chair recognizes Councilman Johnson.
Council President, before I move for the adoption of the resolution, I just want to ask if we can take a moment of silence, honoring the life and legacy of former Council President Ann Verna, who I know you were very close with. She was the first woman president of City Council. Some of us has worked with her in the capacity of being staff members. Some of you who are in this body work with her in the capacity of colleagues. And so, Council President, we could take a moment to just honor her life and her legacy.
Thank you. Absolutely. Please
WURD
have a
Radio,
moment of silence.
96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Council.
You're welcome. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
Second.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. All in favor of said resolution, indicate by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it. That resolution is enthusiastically adopted.
There are no other bills or resolutions on the final passage calendar, Mr. President.
Thank you. Okay. So I want to recognize the Councilwoman Park for a motion to recess. In that motion, it will suggest that committee of the whole will start at 1 o'clock. Given the length of the council session, 1 o'clock, committee of the whole obviously will not take place. We will reach out to brief members on the substance of the budget / negotiation. So we will read that amendment. Mr. Decker, do we have to make a motion subsequent to the recess of the council for the committee of the whole?
No, Mr. President.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. I think we're all motioned out. Thank you. With that, the chair recognizes Councilwoman Parker for a motion to recess.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that council stand in recess until the completion of the public meeting of the Committee of the Whole, which is scheduled to convene today.
Second.
It's been moved and second that the council stand in recess until the completion of the public meeting of the Committee of the Whole, which was scheduled to convene at 1 p.m., but obviously will be a little later. All those in favor will signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries, and council will stand in recess until the completion of the public meeting of the committee of the whole. Members will be reaching out shortly to outline the process on the budget items. So please stay tuned.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Reality check with Charles Ellison right now on WURD Radio and WURDradio.com.
Okay, you were just tuning in to the Philadelphia City Council. It was live. They are taking a brief recess, and then they're going to return a little bit later on. We will not be airing that or streaming that, broadcasting that on WURD. However, you can continue to go to phlcouncil.com. You can watch that video live at phlcouncil.com. It's probably going to take them a while to recalibrate from this session of the whole that they've done. Of course, the schedule is a bit extended. It's a bit scattered. It's very fluid as a result of council voting on, deliberating on, and voting on a number of budget bills, just getting through budget business, getting the fiscal year 2022 budget package for the city past the mayor's FY 2022 budget. So 2 things I highly recommend if you want to continue to follow these developments. 1, go to phlcouncil.com. You can watch the live video there. The video is available there at phlcouncil.com. Also, highly recommend, once again, like I was saying earlier, go to @BroadandMarket, @BroadandMarket on Twitter. That's spelled out. Lauren Vitas, who's a government relations expert, election lawyer, is doing a fantastic job, and she does this every week, and I've been watching her lately. In fact, we're going to have her on to talk about, like, what's happening at council procedure, et cetera. She gives nice real-time coverage, including, like, just telling you what those bills are, what they're voting on, everything that's happening. I get a feeling she's going to be watching that post-recess session that's coming up a little bit later on this afternoon in council. So that's also a great spot to watch. I know I'm going to be watching it regularly and using it as a guide tool, and encouraging you all to do the same. Get on Twitter if you're not already on there, and go to @BroadandMarket. Okay, I'm Charles Ellison. I've been your anchor for City Council Live, which is every Thursday, the last City Council session of the whole before summer recess is next week, Thursday, June 24th. And then they do a summer recess, summer break, and then they come back in September. So September 16th, I believe, is when they come back after the summer recess. But we got one more City Council session of the whole next week. Continue to check in at #CityCouncilLive on Twitter more specifically. And also I'm @Ellison Report on Twitter. I want to thank Troy Wilmore at the Board of Steel for getting it done here during City Council Live. I want to thank everyone else for watching in. The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders is up next, so stay tuned in to WURD. And everyone, have a fantastic Father's Day weekend. Please stay safe out there. Please stay safe. And I will, God willing, see you on Monday, 10 a.m. sharp, to discuss everything that's happening, local, state, and national. I'm Charles Ellison. Please, Philly and beyond, I want you to stay sharp, stay smart.